Hello, hello. Are we live? Hello. I knew I'd forgotten something. Where is that? Got my own stream open. Yeah, I couldn't figure out what intro music I wanted for this. I had an idea, but it is definitely copyrighted, so I'm not going to play it. So I just thought, screw it, we'll just go silent, because this stream's going to be a little different. Would this look better with the button up? I never do the button up, but that looks better, doesn't it? I look so much better. Yeah, anyway. Is my mustache okay? Does my mustache look okay? That's the quote. Oh, guys, there's so much. There's so much to talk about, and yet so little. I'm gonna do my best to do this concisely and not waste your time. Because today's stream is gonna be pretty special. Essentially, this is just a vlog. It's not just gonna be me talking to the camera like this, but we're not gonna be playing any games. There's also no charity shout out or question of the day. Simple setup. And I'll just start with what I put in the description, because let's talk about how the internet has changed. I started using the internet almost exactly 10 years ago, and everything that I do now has originated from that moment in time. So today, I'm here to reflect on my experiences, talk about your anecdotes, wider culture over the years, and speculation on the future of the internet. And there will be more links added to the description after the Discord invite. But right now, I just want to start by saying hello, chat. I will keep up with messages as best I can. Forgive me if I seem a bit tired. It's been a very crazy last 48 hours, 24 hours. I've lost count. I was at work for 14 hours the other day, including breaks. Don't worry. But, you know, it's pretty crazy. I've had a lot of other bits and bobs to do. My degree is starting to ramp up now. Preparations have begun. I've got work to do. And yeah, there's just a lot going on with me at the minute. Which I suppose is part of the reason for the hiatus. If you're just here for the highlights, if you just tuning in to know what the heck is so important, okay, you're not going to get the full richness of the stream. But just as a heads up for anyone passing by, in case you've missed the memo, I am going on a indefinite hiatus. Not a permanent hiatus, but an indefinite hiatus, just completely. I explained it all in this community post. I highly recommend you check it out. This isn't being deleted, but once this stream is done tonight, I'm finally going to do the thing I said I'd do like a week ago, and actually finish off the purge and just sort of tidy up the channel. Because also, I'm not going to be uploading for a while, so now's a really good opportunity to do this whole like blackout thing. And yeah, no, it's housework. It's house cleaning, whatever the phrase is. But since I'm not going to be uploading like anything for I don't know how long, maybe a month, maybe more. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll do like a stream next week. I really don't know. But there's nothing planned after this. This is it. After this, well, see you when I see you. I may have something in mind for Halloween, but we'll see. But yeah. Anyway. Pardon me. Hay fever. Ugh. My asthma is just the worst thing. My lungs, my sinuses, they just don't want to function, ever. I say that. They're actually functioning very well, kind of, from a certain point of view. But anyway, Cupcake, Voltan, Livy, Aero, DJ, welcome all to the stream. I'll try and greet everybody as they come in. Let's get on with this. I've yapped long enough. I am quite a yapper. It is 17 past 5, 17:17. Let's talk about what we want to talk about. But yeah, the internet. The internet. There are so many places I could start with this. And originally, I was thinking of starting with, you know, my own experience and story. And I guess I am going to touch on that. But although it would be really interesting to get into anecdotes, I don't want to get too bogged down in stuff that we've done on the channel before, which is lots of reacting to my older videos, which I've got a whole series on, which isn't even finished. And I've already kind of talked about my start on the internet through that, you know. I don't want to spend too long really talking about and focusing on the fandoms and the franchises and the games and the movies and this, that, and the other. Like, you know, this isn't a Five Nights at Freddy's retrospective. We've done that many times over. That is done. The book is shut on that one. What I really want to do with this is get into, yes, some conceptual stuff, but also more of the big picture stuff. History. So, I'll tell you where we'll start. And feel free to bring in your own anecdotes as and when is relevant, or even not relevant, honestly. Just say whatever you feel like in chat. But I want to start, not with this, but with this. I'm not going to play it, or at least I'm going to keep it muted, because, you know, copyright. In fact, I'm going to mute this. Do you guys want some background music? I could put on background music, if you guys like. We could get up the old, live stream background music. If I just start with Crinoline Dreams, that's a fine one. How about we get on some background music? Yeah? This is all, copyright free. That's a bit loud for my taste. Is that too quiet? It looks a bit quiet on there, unless I did this. Tell me if that's too loud or too quiet, chat, but yeah, let's get into this. I want to talk about Bo Burnham's Welcome to the Internet. If you haven't heard this song, I don't know what to say. Like, you live under a rock. Because this song is hugely well known. It's a hugely famous, satirical, description, essentially, of the internet by this, very witty and very, funny guy. If I actually get my, search up here, I can get the lyrics. Because something stuck out to me that really resonated with me. Yeah, here we go. Genius lyrics. Anyway. Frog Balloon, Super Soul, welcome to the stream. Not gonna lie, post-2020 internet doesn't hit the same. Super Soul, as always, is 10 steps ahead. He already knows what I'm gonna be talking about, but we'll get there when we get there. Is the music, is it good now? Yeah. Indeed, Super Soul, indeed. That's the same way I feel, and we'll talk more about that. But yeah, welcome to the internet. I mean, the video, this is just a video of him, but essentially playing the keyboard. It's very good. But the lyrics, as you can see, talking about how the internet is kind of this infinite whirlpool of content. And, it's a remarkable thing. Like, let's just step back even further, right? And actually talk about the internet itself. Like, deadass, I'm going to do what I do on all of the Speak Space type stuff, which I do, which I know it's been a long while since I've done a Speak Space episode. I'm really sorry. I really meant to do more of these this year, but it just hasn't panned out. And I think at the end of the day, this is a gaming channel that occasionally does something else, and this is the something else. Maybe I should make another channel for this at some point, who knows. Tried with continuity error, that didn't exactly pan out either, so who knows. But if I look up the actual Wikipedia page, not to be confused with like the World Wide Web, there's a lot of confusion about that, but the internet is like the system of the computer networks. The World Wide Web is kind of like the interface that makes it accessible to most of us in this day and age, because, obviously, I mean, the internet is an unmatched phenomenon in history and in civilization. Like, if you really think about it, there has never been such a technological marvel that has ever brought so many different things together. It is a, postal service, a library, a, arcade machine, and a million other things all in one. It's an entire, virtual world, which our generation and, adjacent generations have uniquely grown up with. It's remarkable how quickly the world has changed. And it's easy to take for granted. I take it for granted every day, but really think about it, guys. The fact that you and I are able to communicate in any capacity, be it me, screaming into the void of, YouTube Live, and you guys picking me up, or, fighting each other through Discord, or whatever social media. We'll get into social media. Social media is just one part of it. But the network of networks that enable people to create things and share things, memories and experiences and media or art or whatever. And this is a visualization of the entire internet, I think. I think that's what this is supposed to be. All credit due to the authors. You want to find it, I will link this in the description. But look at this. Look at this. I don't think this is the entire internet. There's no way. This is far too small. But it's like, this is a visualization of how the internet's actually constructed. You can also see like world maps over time of where internet usage has increased, starting from the 90s. It's gone up dramatically. You can see like these are like individual IP addresses here. So that's like a router. That's like one person's home, one person's computer. And yeah, it's absolutely incredible that humanity constructed such a technological marvel and has developed it at such pace. It's like the internet can barely keep up with itself, if you know what I mean. It's like when you think about not only the cultural aspect, but even just the pure technological one of systems every 5 years being replaced and updated and developed, and software and hardware. It's just remarkable. And, you know, I'm not trying to tell a particular story here or educate you guys on anything. I'm just inviting you to reflect as a starting place. Yeah, that's just a portion of the internet. That's not even the whole thing. The entire internet visualized, what would that even look like? That would be absolutely insane, as like, kind of like one of those like universe scale videos. But yeah, I mean, the history of it does go back as far as the 60s, apparently. Computers were slow to develop at first, but it has accelerated. What I'm really looking at is recent history and the sort of commercialized, publicly available, you know, non-specialist internet that you and I use every day. I mean, I remember 10 years ago that it was already such an integrated part of our lives, and how it's become even more universal and essential since then. And even kind of like like 10 years before that, how it was sort of this burgeoning thing, and how it's just rapidly accumulated. I'm just going to put this all under links, just how it's all rapidly accumulated. So I'm just going to link everything. Here we go. So if you guys want to find out about any of the things which I put on screen in this video, they'll be here. And I'm not done with the lyrics. We're going to keep a look at that. But yeah, what was there was something else I was looking for. Oh yeah, like actual visualization of the entire internet. I'm just curious. This is not planned. This is loosely planned, this stream. Like, I've got all these links when I open. Visualization of the internet. Like, holy shit, is this it? Oh my goodness. No, that's the one from Wikipedia. It just looks bigger because they inverted the colors. This is still just insane to look at. Let me see if we can get a nice higher quality version. No. Or what about this? I think this is still just a portion. It's supposed to be just a portion. Here we go, that's a nice high-res one. Ah, oh, come on. Come on, work with me. Give me something. I want to be able to zoom in and... Oh my goodness. But yeah, I don't know if this is like the same image or like an edit of it. But I don't know. Just imagine like every little line, every little ending is like one of us. This is like all the information that we can share and send. I don't know. I'm not doing this justice, but you have to use your imagination. But yeah. But as Bo Burnham very wittily kind of describes in this, it's like the internet is also... I mean, this song is more focused on the social media side of things. It's like, you know, there's a little, you know, nod to like the algorithm, and also just how bizarre the internet is, because you have everything that was ever written, recorded, existed, just thrown out into this gigantic database. He puts these very, like, highly contrasting things side by side. Like, you know, be happy, be horny, be bursting with rage. We've got a million different ways to engage. It's the dichotomy. It's how everything just clashes. And it's, you know, the news of famous women's feet. And it's funny, because obviously there's a link, because that's the kind of thing that you might find in the news as a scandal. And tweeting a racial slur and civil rights, there's obviously, you know, both linked through racism, I guess. But you know, here's a tip for straining pasta. Here's a 9-year-old who died. It's like, there are some truly ridiculous things on the internet because of its kind of Wild West, deregulated nature, at least in the early days. You've got a lot of stuff out there which you wouldn't normally find through other media, just thrown at you from all angles. You've got, completely disturbing, harrowing, and just grossly inappropriate stuff next to very ordinary, everyday stuff. And it's, this is literally Reddit 50/50. This is, and yeah, it definitely leans into the disturbing angle. And I like how this is sort of implied to lead one to the other, kind of relating to manosphere. I was going to say incel culture. What's the manosphere? Okay, yeah, it's the same thing. I know what that is. But yeah, it's which Power Ranger you? Take this quirky quiz. Obama sends the immigrants to vaccinate your kids. It's like, lots of references and lots of contrasts. But what's really interesting is the chorus. What is the most interesting is the chorus. And it's almost like the internet itself is singing. And there's this sort of, psychotic, self-aware, tone to it. But the line which really got me interested is not actually the one that's being highlighted. Here it is. A little bit of everything all the time. Apathy is a tragedy. Boredom is a crime. Anything and everything all the time. I think this is such an interesting line. I don't know why it's not highlighted every time. But this is just what some contributors said. But yeah, it's this idea that the internet has a culture that pushes everybody to constantly be interested and interesting, to be doing something, to be consuming something. Because if people don't care, then, if they're not stimulated, then, they're not, engaged with the internet, and that's no fun. It's not profitable. It's not, in the interests of all the powers that be. And I just thought this was really interesting. This isn't where this stream actually started, but it kind of links. Because there is kind of this thing, right, that, like, internet culture, as time has gone and has gotten, faster and faster and faster, as technology and communications get faster and faster and faster, our attention span and our patience decreases generation by generation. I mean, I don't know how much scientific truth there is to this, but I imagine, logically, the results will show that what a lot of people predicted will be true, and that is that, iPad kids of Generation Alpha, whatever they're called, they kind of, like, have this, constant need to have dopamine hits from scrolling on social media or whatever, because of how, these websites have been manufactured, and it's, like, kind of scary. It's kind of a scary thing that it's, like, the expectations and the habits of generations are becoming more and more kind of self-destructive, because being impatient is a terrible trait, and obviously this is not kind of just impatience. This is kind of a manufactured crisis, really, intentional or not. Yeah, I'm not saying this right, but anyway, it's very interesting. But you got to think, hang on, we're in 2024 right now. The internet isn't a new thing anymore. I remember when I was a kid, the internet was still like this new thing that people were sort of like only a little bit familiar with. Although that did quickly change, because that era was really before my time. But it's like, was it always like this? You go back to 2014 when I started using the internet in earnest. You go back to 2004 when I was 3 years old or less. I mean, my birthday's pretty close to today. My birthday was a week ago, actually. Exactly a week ago, I think, because I got my first computer for my birthday, and that's how this all started. Maybe it's time to talk anecdotes. I feel like I've set the tone, I've set the scene, and before I go too deep, let's talk anecdotes for a bit. I'm just going to read chat, because I have definitely neglected chat for a while as well. You can't multitask, guys. Multitasking isn't real. But yeah. It's faster to say World Wide Web than it is to say www. That's crazy. That's actually, like, I'm not saying this is going to be permanent, but that's interesting enough that you're getting a pinned message, mate. It's faster to say World Wide Web than www. What is English, man? English language is so weird. Language itself is weird. I'm just glad that I'm decently fluent in a language that's widely spoken, because I suck at learning languages. And honestly, the only reason I'm any good at English and speaking and listening in this language is because I've had constant exposure to it since I was very young. It is, like, crazy how many weird things are. Like, why does it take so long to say W? It's close, but... World Wide Web, www. Yeah, it's definitely... World Wide Web's definitely faster. But yes, Frog Balloon. Like, the internet is so sci-fi. It's like, I remember in the last, like, 20 years, like, as a kid, as a teen, you know, thinking of these, like, futuristic sci-fi things that have always been thought to be, like, a distant thing, actually being real to an extent. Although there's also some hilarious kind of, you know, misses in that regard. If you think to Back to the Future, how they predicted 2015, and what actual 2015 looked like. Yeah. The internet's one of the most interesting things since the light bulb? Nah. I think the internet might be the most important invention in human history since the printing press. Because, yeah, a lot of important stuff happened in between. Nukes, you know, vehicles, electricity, although that was more of a discovery of harnessing it rather than an invention. But in terms of the impact it's had culturally and intellectually, I don't think anything comes close except for maybe the printing press. Because what that enabled was for people to read and write in a standardized way without everything being controlled by the church or warlords, I guess. It's a long story, but 16th century is, well, 16th century? I think 1580s. That's kind of where, like, the Renaissance and, like, the Age of Enlightenment started, more or less. I could be wrong. I do not specialize in that part of history, but, I'm trying to look somewhat smart. I'm just a fraud, guys. But exactly, that's the thing, Supercell. Wikipedia is an excellent example of the internet's prowesses. But it's like, the internet is more than just a database or a library. That is the closest approximation that I can give it. But the function, the use of that information, is not just to be an encyclopedia. Wikipedia on its own does that. And Wikipedia is one website out of, like, 1 billion. Who even knows, man? But yeah, the internet visualized would probably like a petri dish after it collected bacteria for a month. Or a galaxy, you know? Okay, So Below fits so well with this discussion. It's a bit dramatic, isn't it? You get a sense of scale, and like, those Minecraft tracks always have a lot of big scale and ambience and echoes, because the environment... The playlist is a bit of a mix. Some of it's a bit more melancholy, some of it's more elevator music, but, you know, it's whatever. It's all ambient. But yeah. Referring to the title for one thing, YouTube didn't play 2 ads back in the day. Hey! Sometimes it's little things that matter, because I tell you what, yeah, YouTube has changed a lot in the last 20 years. I mean, how could it not? But also, excuse me, it's this coffee I'm drinking. YouTube itself, like, I've lived to see a lot of change in this platform in 10 years, and I wasn't even there for some of the things which happened in the early days, but the last 10 years, oh my goodness, the features added, the features removed, the, you know, culture and the creators, you know, there's so much to talk about. You know, you got big creators getting cancelled and others rising to stardom, or both. You got, you know, Copper and Article 13, you got dislikes being removed, and, you know, the, you know, creator newsletter, there's so much. So much. W is the only letter with multiple syllables? Now I want to say the alphabet through that. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But yeah, that's mad. No, Frog Balloon, you're not wrong. It is 9 for www and 3 for World Wide Web. You are counting that correctly. It's how many times your tin goes down. Very consistent way of counting that. A lot of important things happen in between, like nukes. Nukes have changed the world, that's a fact. But yeah, it's very interesting how it's evolved. But yeah, exactly, DJ, exactly. And yes, Frog, it's communication is the key thing, right? Pretty much, because obviously they're important in different ways, and some of them are reliant on others, but it's like, communication is fundamental to our existence in reality. Like, I know that sounds deep, but, like, practically, unless you become some kind of, you know, actual, like, physical, like, hermit, like a loner, who never interacts with any other living being, even non-human things like pets, like dogs and cats, but every living being and each other as the only, you know, sapient, sentient, whatever the word is, kind of like, you know, creatures capable of reason in the world, in the universe that we know of. Humans are unique in that, and it's like how we communicate through the complex systems we develop. That's unique to us. That's unique to our experience of reality. That's unique to our existence. And that's why communication is so central to everything, to our work, to our relationships, everything. And that's why inventions that facilitate, enhance, or develop communication in some way are so important, both on a small scale and to the world, because it comes down to individuals, you know, sending love letters, but also to government documents, you know, making decisions that affect millions of people. Like, printing press and the internet, man. All goes back to those. And maybe a few other things, you know. It's history oversimplified, guys. This is not an educational resource. I just want to be very clear. Just having a discussion. But yeah, yes. Yeah, the CEO of YouTube, Susan, whatever her last name was. I'm gonna be real. I think the discourse is interesting because obviously, like, rest in peace. Like, I want to say I have nothing against Susan, not like personally, but you can't deny that she made a lot of decisions that were bad for YouTube. She really did. Like, I'm not saying, like, I wanted her dead. That's foul. It's disgusting. But, you know, people have been crying out for years for a change, for new leadership to YouTube, or for Susan to kind of, you know, change some of her decisions in the interests of the audience, because I mean, the most glaring one is obviously removing the dislike button. That is probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen YouTube do. And the fact that it has just remained this way for years is... It's hilarious and it's tragic. And I think history's going to look back on that and kind of laugh. I really honestly would not be surprised if the dislike is somehow returned as a feature at some point. But they just dress it up as something else, so that it's not obvious, so that they aren't, oh no, we didn't just U-turn this decision we've had for decades. No, we just thought there's a new thing which would be good, and it's like, it's just a dislike button, functionally. But, yeah, not to be talked about, you know, the CEO of YouTube and all the fantastic people who keep YouTube running. YouTube is probably my favorite social media. Like, it's not even close, quite frankly. Discord, if you count it, is definitely up there, but YouTube is unique as a video sharing website, and I feel like despite everything, it fosters a much healthier culture than most social media platforms. I just think there's a few select issues which could be easily solved that they've just neglected for a long time. And there's been a lot of individual instances of kind of creators getting screwed over when they shouldn't have been for various reasons. And usually it's not like a big consistent problem. I just think at the end of the day, as someone who has now spent a few months working in a service job, it's a fucking miracle that anything ever gets done ever in the world in service of anything. Like, actually. The amount of organization and communication and things to remember and shit to do in no time that there is at this, like, one restaurant I work at locally that has maybe, like, a dozen people in the staff. Imagine the workload of the entire YouTube platform. You have to automate that to quite an extent, otherwise it's just not going to work. And, you know, I'm not excusing a lot of the bullshit that creators like, let's say Corey X Kenshin, excellent example, have had with, you know, revenue being limited or whatever. I also think that was straight up racism. Like, I think he called that one right, and I think that's not even necessarily YouTube, but like wider social cultural problems. Because the thing is, when you have algorithms and programs that are created, you know, in Western, you know, countries where everyone who works there is of a certain origin, and there are certain cultural assumptions, it's obviously going to neglect, you know, people across the world. This is a thing in all kinds of, you know, areas and fields of technology. An obvious example, I forget the source, but there's a story of basically this hand sanitizer that was developed in Silicon Valley or something. It was like one of the earliest ones where it would use a laser to detect your hand. And it didn't work on black people. because everyone who tested it was white. So that black people, they put their hand there and it just wouldn't detect it because it's a different color and they didn't program it for that. It's more like accidental racism, but it's sort of an indication of deeper rooted problems in America and the world. There was also that whole thing about facial scanning, facial recognition, when that was new in like the 2010s. It would struggle with Asian faces. I think this was like Instagram or something. Yeah, it's just one of those things when something is developed in a certain part of the world, and everything's rooted in the socioeconomic situation. But I'm just sort of pulling a wide array of things here. This is not a deep analysis. Linking it back, it is remarkable. And I'm not defending everything YouTube's done wrong, but I really think, like, credit where credit's due. They're still my favorite. The YouTube's got issues, but compared to Facebook, compared to Twitch, compared to every other damn social media platform out there, they're doing really well. And I just hope that they keep the individual little man user experience in mind, because that's how YouTube started. I hope they don't forget their origins. And please, God, communicate better with the YouTube studio. It's so shit. Also, bring back the dislike button, for fuck's sake. Anyway, but yeah, let's get back to the bigger picture. That's another thing, actually. Unironically, this is such an annoying thing. YouTube search has gotten worse over the years, like, objectively. Like, it has actually gotten worse. Back in the day, this would bring up my channel, first and foremost. Now, for some reason, it's a random Matt Smith clip with 12 views from a year ago that's first. Then it's a completely unrelated artist on Vivo. Then it's another old clip from ages ago with a few views. Now it's got my actual live stream. Okay. It's got something I uploaded the other day. But yeah, you can see it's mostly Matt Smith for some reason. Which is, again, like, the algorithm has picked up something on Matt Smith that it hasn't on my main channel. Like, why is it Q&A 5? That is such a random thing. When you think of all the effort I go to present the absolute peak that I am capable of, you've got all the FNAF stuff, alright? You've got, you know, the charity events, the tier list streams, the Minecraft series, the Baldi's Basics, and this is what you pick? Really? Like, this isn't even, like, my most highly viewed stuff. And again, like, this is all just, like, random, unrelated shit. Like, I don't even... Like, what is this? What is this? What is this? Like, I can see how this is loosely related to some of the stuff I've been watching, but some of this is just completely random. Like, I don't know what this is. I have not been watching anything related to this. Genuinely. Like, that YouTube search is terrible, and they need to fix that. But we love YouTube! Anyway. But yeah, this is why it's another reason it's so hard to grow as well. I think I was a few years too late to really having a chance at ever turning this into a side hustle or a career. I did consider it for a while. There were a few years, you know, every now and again where I would think, what if I actually took off? What if I became another Markiplier, you know? And I never believed it would happen, but I thought, if I could get to, like, 50,000 subscribers, I could, you know, make half a living off this and actually do this, you know, really fulfill all the potential dreams I have and bring them to life on the screen in whatever format that is. And I thought this with all of my channels at some point, but they've all fallen through. And I think I do understand the game. I understand the game that is becoming a YouTube creator seriously. I'm just not in a position to do it. I don't have what it takes at the moment in terms of time or energy, just mathematically. Like, maybe when I've done my degrees, but, like, I think I'm going to be getting a real job at that point. So, you know, and that's fine. I'm happy to just do this as a hobby, but it's been such a pleasure to see this community grow over the years and have all of you guys here, but I never really spend time on this because it's not something good to dwell on, but I sometimes wonder, you know, how many hundreds or thousands of people out there could I have actually, you know, brought something great who are never going to see me because the algorithm didn't facilitate that. I mean, I know what I'm doing right. I know what I'm doing right because I've, you know, followed the greats and I've seen it work. I've seen some of my stuff hit the algorithm and get a few hundred more views than I normally would, but it was never anything substantial. But that's okay. Maybe I wasn't ready for that and that wasn't the right thing for me. I'm just happy to be here. Even if there's only one person watching, I'm happy to be here. But yeah. But But yeah, yo, why did Matt from 5 years ago have such a square-looking face in that old stream? It's probably because of my hair, but also I have a very square head. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but, you know, I got a square little head. Yo, Corey, thank you so much, dude. Oh, that is so generous. We got a tip. Let's go. I don't call them donations. It's not a donation, it's a tip. Alright, let's call it what it is. $4.40, mate, you shouldn't have. You really shouldn't have. Honestly, knowing the US economy, you really shouldn't have done that, but that is so kind, thank you. Can I, like, pin that? That's a thing I can do, right? Buy your own super chat. What? I can pay myself? What is the point of buying my own super chat? Why is that a feature? Cool, I get, maybe if I needed a super chat message. I don't know, that's weird. It's not like I'm donating to charity, I don't see the point of that. But yeah, thank you so much. But yeah, DJ, again, Super Mario DJ, like, your channel's not going to come up, because that's not a very unique name. There's a lot of other bigger things with Super Mario and DJ in the name. The one thing I've really struggled with above everything, I think, was coming up with an actual name for the channel. Mr. Matt was just a nickname I had as a kid, and I just sort of rolled with it because I could not think of anything else. And to this day, I cannot think of anything else. I've tried a bunch of other usernames. Continuity Error is rubbish, and it's the only thing I've actually come up with myself. We had Cosmos Universe back in the day, but again, that was my brother Joe. You know, you had, you know, Void Flame, which I just made for Helldivers through, like, kind of, you know, word association. We had Monkey Man, which kind of similar to Mr. Matt. I don't know. You know, we had Mystery Meat, which is just a funny, you know, meme. You know, I've had a bunch of other usernames that I can't even remember, and they were all rubbish. I'm terrible at coming up with usernames. I will outsource my usernames in future. You know, this sounds crazy, but I actually recently thought about changing the name of this channel. I don't have any ideas. If I were to change the name, how would that work? What would that be? It's probably, like, too late now, but never say never. Because, like, if I change the channel, it's not a problem. It's like, people can just still call me Matt. Like, that's my name. And it's not a name I'm unhappy with. It's a fine name. It's good, memorable, single syllable, spelled nice. There's a lovely symmetry in the way it's spelled. Matthew with the 2 T's and kind of, like, letters going out from the middle. But anyway, super chat yourself. That way you can give yourself money and lose 30%. Yeah, honestly, like, what is the point? Because off that $4.40, I'm only going to be getting, like, a dollar from that. A little more, $2. I'm not very good at math. But yeah, that's weird to think about. Is it me or is the music getting louder? I'll turn that down slightly. Just a little bit. There we go. But yeah. The Milkster. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, America is a scam. America is literally a scam. Like, it's criminal that they pay people sub-wages expecting people with no money to give tips. Mental. Hydrated Highlights as well, yeah. I think I came up with both those names, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not going to take full credit because I'm always inspired by something else that someone else says. But yeah. But yeah, let's go back to the internet. We're getting off topic here. Let's go back to the internet. Because Supercell's got a point. Like, it's like we created our own universe. It is. Like, there are worlds within worlds. It's not a universe, it's a multiverse. We created a multiverse with all these worlds that we call websites and games and, you know, platforms and websites and social media. Yeah, it's... And obviously VR technology as well, all stuff like that. And yeah, it's... Even some tiny parts of the internet can feel infinite. It's still insane to me that the entire internet's mass is about that of a strawberry. Because if you reverse the, you know, equation that Einstein came up with, E equals mc squared, you can derive the mass from the energy, rather than the energy from the mass. And yeah, it's about a strawberry, apparently. I don't know the numbers, but it's absolutely insane to think about. And it's interesting to see how individuals can have such an impact on it as well. We were talking about Susan earlier, but, you know, beyond just politicians and even influencers, you know, one person can make a huge difference if, you know, they trigger people's thoughts in the right way. I mean, that's how you get viral online, right? Luck's obviously a factor, but if the right people share at the right time, enough times, and when you go back to the origins of Amazon and Netflix and Facebook, these worldwide multi-million megacorps, they all started way back when. It's just like one or two guys with, bare bones resources in a flat or a garage, and they just built up from there. And it's remarkable. The 2000s were a very unique time. But yeah. Also, yeah, AI is a part of all this. AI is the latest thing at this moment in time in the kind of technological innovations of the world. Like, everything's now trying to integrate AI because it's trendy, because it sells, and it is a waste of energy. And it is just ridiculous because, I mean, I don't have quite as strong an anti-AI stance as most people do. I think it's a bit ridiculous to say that all AI ever is unethical. Maybe that's true in a practical sense. But you can't put, when you've opened Pandora's box, you can't put it back in. So the best we can do now is make it work. Because you can't erase it from existence. AI is really strange because it's not even real AI. It's not artificial intelligence. There's nothing intelligent about it. It's a completely misused term. What it actually is machine learning, specifically linguistic machine learning, that essentially generates from sources. But all that AI, or generative AI to be accurate, actually does, as it does now, even the very best stuff, it just regurgitates. It just takes a bunch of existing stuff, often stolen, without any kind of respect for copyright, because there's no laws around AI, or at least it's still a very, still a thing that's developing. But they just take a bunch of stuff, and they sort of mesh it together in the most generic sounding way, and, with images and video as well. It is scary how people can be fooled by it, because it is getting more convincing, and there's got to come a point where, artificially generated media will be indistinguishable from reality. That is coming. You can't be stopped. But, AI generation is kind of... The thing about it for me, personally, this is just my opinion, but, it's not even good. Doesn't matter how harmful it is or not, it's genuinely useless. It's a nothing burger. It's such a complete fad, because everything that generative AI does, you can already do with your brain. All it does is encourage laziness, genuinely. I've tried using it for my degree. I did, because it was going around, people talking about, I was like, okay, we're going to be very strict about this, because they've been very strict with the rules. I'm going to test it on some essay questions that I am not going to attempt, and that do not kind of, relate to anything that I'm actually writing on. And it just came up with the most generic horseshit. It obviously can't do anything advanced either, like citations, which is the only thing it would be helpful for is automating the boring repetitive tasks. But guess what? There's already a dozen websites which can generate citations for you, so you can do that. I mean, it's such a privilege, because 20, 30, 40 years ago, you had to manually write those things in pen and paper. Horrible. Terrible. Well, typewriter, I guess, but, with generative AI, it's you can't, there's no point using it as a search engine, because we've got a thing for that. They're called search engines. You can do your own research that is just as quick and easy and probably better in quality by just actually searching in a search bar and doing some reading for yourself and using your brain to comprehend the material, instead of just being fed an answer from this weird regurgitation machine. And when it comes to finding sources, research skills are kind of an important thing in life that you should be doing yourself anyway, just out of good practice. Not to mention that you will get better results from doing things yourself. And with generative AI, it's I suppose it is going to improve to the point where it's going to be very difficult to distinguish from human writing. But anti-AI technology is a thing that is already being developed in Converse. There are ways to detect this, there are ways to perhaps prevent this in future. And it's just funny to me how there's been such a heated debate over this, because it's it doesn't do anything. It's not actually useful for anything. I've tried shoehorning AI into my streams, and it didn't work. One time we did a charity stream, and I AI generated some debate prompts, and it's like half of them were the same. You know, there were, you know, a couple, like, very generic ones we'd done before. It's like, I might as well have taken the time to actually use my own imagination and just do that myself, because the quality would have been so much better. We still made it work and had a great time. And obviously I did a stream investigating ChatGPT, as well as DALL-E Mini, but I think the video and image creation stuff is kind of fun if it's done right, and there's an occasion where it's genuinely useful. I saw this excellent edit of Gordon Ramsay in Minecraft, which uses an AI voice. It's super convincing, and the only reason I knew it was AI is because he says things that Gordon Ramsay has definitely never said. But it kind of blew my mind that actually, okay, that's actually alright. But there is still an ethical question, because did Gordon Ramsay consent to having his voice imitated by a machine to say anything? I don't think he did. That's not right. And, you know, back in the good old days, we had text-to-speech, and we had voice actors, people imitating. Again, all of the things AI can do, you can do yourself better. Which is why it's baffling to me. It's almost inverted. It's like, instead of automating boring and dull tasks that give us humans more time to do quality things, AI is being used for all the things that are better when they're done by a human, and also are kind of important for humans to do, you know, to exist, like, consciously. It's like, these things, you know, creating art and creating media, that keeps your brain active, it keeps you healthy in your mind, and it's like, those are the things that should be, you know, sacred, if there had to be anything. Nothing is sacred, but... And yeah, and just in response to another thing that was stated, the environment argument is also excellent, but the dead internet theory. This all relates to a video essay I saw recently. One of the things in it was about this this meme of good news, the traffic to our, you know, AI-powered site is off the charts. The bad news, they're all bots. Like, there is, because of generative AI specifically, something that it has affected for real is the amount of fake content. You know, images, videos, posts, whatever. Like, the amount of stuff that wasn't created by a human, that is just being mass distributed by trolls and businesses and whatever. Probably for profit. What else? You know. But there's also so many fake consumers, so many AI, or, you know, not even AI, just bots, like fake accounts that people put out there, which just run lines of code pretending to be people. That there's now so much AI on both sides, it's almost like there are no real people in this interaction. There's just bots, an automated AI shit, just engaging with AI-generated slop, and it's bizarre. Because the dead internet theory was a bit of a joke way back when. It was first a thing, I think, 20, 15 years ago. It originated from like 4chan or Reddit or something. But the thing is, as time has gone on, it's becoming more real. It's kind of scary. And for those of you who don't know, the dead internet theory is a theory that the vast majority of internet traffic is not by real people, and that the vast majority of things and people you interact with online are not real. They're completely fake. It never happened. This was written by an author. No, not a chance. Not this time. It never happened. Yeah, no, it's creepy. A lot of them are easy to spot, but sometimes they're not, and it's a bit of a mindfuck. And that is a new phenomenon. It feels like we might be coming up to sort of the tipping point of dead internet theory and dead internet fact. I think it might, in a few years, like, dead internet might actually be real, which is kind of insane to think about. But yeah. Allow me to be real. AI isn't going to take over the world. People give it way too much credit. It depends on what you mean by that, but I think I don't know what you mean. You're absolutely right. Like, the AI, yes, it's a huge fad and trend that has taken the world by storm, but I think a lot of people are sensible enough to sort of just ignore it and carry on, and it's being shoehorned in, but how much is it actually being used by anyone, really? I'm sure there are certain demographics who use AI more, but I don't know. I mean, actual artificial intelligence is a different topic. Generative AI specifically, yeah, it's... Unless there's some drastic changes to its ability to do more than just imitate and regurgitate, although at that point, would it be generative AI or would it be something else? Because a conscious, living, artificial being is a singularity. That's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. Also, Frog Balloon, I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm going to pin that because I think you're right. I believe that it's hard for generative AI to be ethical. Not hard, just impossible. Not just hard, impossible. I misread that. It's like, it's a practical thing, right? Like, you could, in theory, have an generative AI that only sourced materials it was, like, permitted to by the authors. You could choose, like, a pool of data that was all, you know, Creative Commons, or, you know, what have you, or perhaps they need to make a new license for stuff to be used for AI generation. Maybe that's the solution. They just need a new type of license. Like, there's all the different iterations of Creative Commons. You've got, like, attribution and, like, royalties. Like, why not just have, like, an AI license? That should just be a thing, like, on freesound.com. Like, there should just be an AI license. I think that would actually solve the issue, broadly. Regardless, the fact of the matter is that it's just, if you restrict yourself to that, the pools of data you get are just so tiny, you have to kind of steal stuff. And of course, what is legal is not necessarily moral, and vice versa. I'm not going to be, like, all moralistic and outraged about AI, but, you know, there isn't really, you know, a law on this. It's in the works, I think. It takes the courts years to, you know, change this stuff. Not the courts. Who writes the laws? I forget how it works exactly. It's different in this country to the US. But yeah. Also, yeah, there's actually there's no guarantee that the info is accurate and usable. I was arguing based on the assumption that it was, but it isn't even accurate or usable all the time. You're right. But moving on from AI, all of this kind of links and comes together. I want to talk about a video essay that I found, because this is what kick-started everything for me, really. Let me just get rid of all this. This. Why is everything so bland now? By Pat Ratrick. Patrick? Yeah. Lately, I've noticed a growing feeling that the world has changed. The internet is no longer the wonderland it once was, from Frutiger era-laden user interfaces, I don't know what that means, to the heavily customizable MySpace. It seems everything in our lives, and the Hollywood blockbusters we consume, to the content we see online, is just bleak and uniform. Take a nostalgic deep dive with me as we try to get to the roots of these feelings. Now, this doesn't sound particularly compelling, doesn't it? It's like, okay, you've got a video essay, you know, that is the thrust of the argument is entirely based on a feeling. You know, it's very broad and encompassing. It's trying to bring all this art and culture into one thing. It's like, how are you adequately going to cover the film industry, you know, art, the internet, social media, AI, everything, adequately in less than 30 minutes? But actually, I think this has a real good structure and a real resonating, you know, depth of argument. And, you know, it's quite impressive. I'm not going to play the audio because it's copyrighted, and I would highly, highly recommend you guys watch this. I should have posted this before I started the stream. This should have been your homework to watch before the stream. Now you can watch it after, if you so choose. I'll put it there as well, if you don't want to refresh the page. But this video blew my mind. Because essentially, the dude talks about all of these things, but how the culture specifically has changed. Kind of looking at, you know, social media over time, architecture as well. Excuse me. And, you know, gaming, and all of this stuff. And it kind of starts off with, like, nostalgia. But the first thing you talk about is the film industry. The Simpsons is obviously talked about. You got Harry Potter as an example. You've got, obviously, Iron Man, which I'm sort of in an Iron Man phase for some reason. Genuinely, though, like, this movie is, like, way more important than I realized, in ways I didn't. But yeah, he talks about all, like, the, you know, superhero movies he watched as a kid, like, from that era, and obviously how they've changed now. And, like, there's a lot of jokes about how, you know, Marvel has absolutely just disintegrated since Endgame in, like, Phase 4, and how it's gotten worse. But there is a real thing going on with that. He talked about his experience with, you know, with Indiana Jones as well, and all these different examples, and kind of the toys and merchandise. And you should really watch it for yourself, but essentially, the point was that it's not quite as colourful and diverse as it used to be. The film industry for like the 20th century, the early 21st, it was vibrant and it was new and it was fresh. I mean, take a single narrow example like superhero movies, you know. Iron Man was a very, you know, like ambitious movie. They were taking a character that wasn't very popular and having a lead actor with like a history of, you know, substance abuse and problems with that. And it kickstarted one of the most successful franchises in existence. It is absolutely phenomenal. The stories and the inspiration that they constructed with the Marvel movies following Iron Man was absolutely incredible. And this is when you've already got the Dark Knight trilogy and the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy to compete with, who really set a high standard for superhero movies as a whole. And that's just superhero movies. We could talk about whole other, you know, genres and stuff or whatever. But it really illustrates the point, because as Marvel's gone on, comparing Iron Man 1 to whatever the fuck they're making now, it's like, there's so much less depth. There's so much less attention to detail. It's more quantity over quality. And it sounds simple to say, but it's true. There's so much more random nostalgia-basing bullshit of like, oh, look, you remember this thing? Than anything new and compelling. But even if you just look more broadly at movies these days, you just go to your theaters and see what's listed. If you look at what's, you know, trending for the last few years on IMDb or whatever, everything these days is a reboot, or a sequel, or it's part of a franchise, or it's a spin-off. Everything has to be related to a franchise, or a fandom, or some pre-existing thing to play on nostalgia. It has to keep reviving stuff. Patrick, he said he really didn't like Indiana Jones 4 and 5, because they both really gave him the feeling that they were sort of dragging out, you know, the beaten corpse of a childhood classic for the sake of profit. And maybe that's a bit cynical, but it's absolutely true in some cases. Maybe not Indiana Jones. I haven't seen the fifth one. I thought the fourth one was fine, but it's been a very long time. I haven't watched it, so we'll be honest, I'm not super knowledgeable on that. You know, think of all the merchandise they make from these things. Think of the fact that cinema as a whole is geared towards what will make more merchandise and what will make more profit over kind of art. I mean, you do still get, you know, artistic movies, like, I don't know, Taxi Driver, but it's just, it's not the same, in terms of, like, kind of the popular cultural, you know, zeitgeist. And I think it's an interesting observation. And he goes on to essentially make the same point with everything. Like, he talks about food packaging. Like, this guy is drawing on all kinds of different things in such an esoteric, intellectual way that it's incredible. But I didn't have a problem keeping up with it. He makes a comparison of basically old Lunchables versus new Lunchables, and how, if I just play it, that's what they look like now. But back in the day, they looked more like this. And it's like, when you think of how kind of bright and colourful and fun and appealing that looks, as opposed to this. And I think that's a fine design, honestly. But with context, it does make you wonder. It's a bit simplified. It's a bit muted. He drew the similarity to, like, you know, cereal for, like, you know, boomers, or whatever he said. Kind of being, it's being, like, the same as that. And it's like, why has it become more like this? Pepsi and Cola are a fantastic example. Again, this is just this video is essentially just a series of examples of how, culturally, we're becoming more bland. Pepsi and Cola, right? This is what they look like, you know, in the early 2000s. There's a lot of nice detail in the designs. Each one has a lot of character. You know, the text font, the fact it's going, you know, along the side, all the, you know, patterns and colors in the backgrounds. But then you look at the modern ones, and that's what they look like. And I never stop to think, because I've never noticed this, but stopping to look at this, it puts a lot of stuff into perspective. Now they're just flat colors. Now they're just flat fonts. They're very, very simplified. And the oversimplification of corporate logos is a whole meme that I'm sure you guys already know about, which we can talk about. But it's like, look at how much less character they have. It's like, it doesn't even matter anymore, like, what kind of identity these have. You want a soda, you got the red one or the blue one. And that's it. And I suppose that's supposed to appeal to a wider audience somehow. But the thing is about trying to appeal to everybody is that you appeal to nobody because you dilute the standout features. Honestly, if Pepsi hadn't changed their designs, I would probably have Pepsi more often than Coca-Cola. I only have Coca-Cola because everyone else does, honestly. It's just brand loyalty. It's bullshit. You know, he said he respected Mountain Dew for at least trying, because they actually have this. There's also Liquid Death, And I've never had either of those. Actually, that's a lie. I have had Mountain Dew, like, once. It was, nah. But it's an interesting thing to point out. He talks about architecture as well. Again, this video is just so incredible. I have to go over this. The architecture of Taco Bell and McDonald's used to look like this. You got the iconic red roof, all these like playground structures, you know, the colors, the fonts. They got these nice little patterns, you know, even the interiors, you know, were like that, but it's changed. If you look at this like blocky modern Wendy's or the way the Taco Bell's changed, if I just play the video. But yeah, that's what McDonald's looks like now. And there's a Taco Bell then versus now. Pizza Hut then, Pizza Hut now. You see what's going on? It's like everything's becoming more kind of brutalist and kind of, you know, simplified. The interiors are becoming kind of less inviting. These are a few comparisons of kind of like, you know, before and after. I remember when I was a kid, I'm very nostalgic for a McDonald's that was inside an Asda. It was this beautiful space that, you know, had these like red and yellow kind of like, you know, walls and all these like patterns. They had comfy little couch like sofas along the walls. It was so much fun. But it's like everything looks very sterile now. It's all clean. It's functional. You can sit and eat in there, but it's really uncomfortable. It's not, you don't want to be there. They want you to leave as soon as possible because it makes more money to get a constant cycle of customers. It gets so dystopian that you get some images like this, which are just straight up liminal. Apparently, this guy lives near a McDonald's that is 100% automated. You do not see any human faces. You just go to the machine, and it comes out of like a till, and you collect it. You don't see any people. Presumably, there are kitchen people working in the back, but there's no front of house. It is utterly bizarre and kind of dystopian. And yeah, it's kind of like, you know, the hostile leaning bench that doesn't allow you to even sit down because they don't want you to be there for long. And it's, you know, again, back to the movies, just talking about Marvel just degenerating. So you got minimalism, you got this kind of, you know, everything sort of merging into a grayer, blander bubble. I'm going to stop before I get too deep, but this video essay is remarkable, and I'm really looking forward to finding more of it, because I got very lucky, ironically. It's the algorithm that got me this video, and this is what really prompted me to figure out what this stream was going to be, because I have had the idea for this stream for like over a year now. I knew what the title would be, but it's evolved into something different in like the last 3-4 days, because I saw this video. But yeah. But yeah. Yeah, it's making think, like, yes, you're told to seek that opportunity, you gotta open that door, but once it's open, it's hit or miss what happens afterwards. It almost makes you question if you should open the door. You're talking about kind of like choice and consequence, DJ. I mean, I think choice and consequence are both inevitable. I think inevitably things are always going to happen, and there are always going to be consequences, so we have to be ready. But yeah, sometimes we have control over when that door opens, sometimes we don't. Excuse me. But yeah. Nice that AI does have some genuine uses for you. You got, you know, learning to code. The thing is, that's a thing though. Like, coding is a thing that should be, I think, automated to an extent. There's a lot of, like, boring, repetitive tasks in coding, which AI is super useful for, definitely. I just think it's out of place with certain other things. And also, again, search features, AI-powered search features, that's cool. That's alright, actually. Frog Balloon, I hadn't thought that. But yeah, hopefully the internet gets so full of AI trash that AI can't be trained on it anymore, and then we won't have to worry about it. If the issue solves itself, that would be amazing, honestly. I think that might actually be the way it ends up, Frog Balloon, within 5 to 10 years. Genuinely, maybe even sooner than 5 years. Like, it might just be that there's so much bloated AI trash that AI is generating based off AI, so you're just getting more distorted copies of copies. Yeah, maybe that's how it's going to be. Have you seen AI try to find how many R's are in the word strawberry? No. Send that to me. Macromedia Flash logo in 2024 is crazy. We'll talk about that. I enjoyed Age of Ultron base. I loved Age of Ultron. It's not like my favorite Avengers movie. It's probably the weakest out of the 4, but it's a damn good film. I enjoyed it. James Spader he is a goat, and I honestly, if they really want to get us on board with like Phase 4, Phase 5, why not just bring Ultron back? Like, dude, I would be so on board. He already had a banger return in What If. Then again, you don't want to ruin the character, but he only had the one film and the one spin-off. I feel like we could get a lot more Ultron. I watched a similar video on why we don't have super customizable profile pages like MySpace anymore. That is exactly one of the next things the video talks about. I'm just going to continue taking you guys through this. But yeah, Pepsi did revert recently. Yeah, I know Pepsi. I've seen Pepsi with black cans now. It's different. Also the Firefox logo, yeah. But yeah, like all of this comes out to corporate logos. Like genuinely, it is crazy like how consistent this trend is. To get more examples, logo oversimplification. It's literally a meme. I will go to the Know Your Meme page or something if I don't just find, yeah. Like, look at Firefox. It's ridiculous. This had so much charm and uniqueness, and it's just lost the detail, and so it's just become this fuzzy, circly... Like, it's not even a fox anymore. It's not even a fox. Like, at least this one was still, like, actually a fox. But it's, like, it's amazing how these logos have just consistently gotten worse. Like, this right here was peak McDonald's. And now it's just this. It's so bad. Like, yeah, Firefox in the future, I don't know what's going to happen. Because, like, we're going to hit a limit of, like, how simplified a logo can be. Again, you can see the Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer, perfect example. Look at this. Literally, they just consistently get worse. It's not even funny. I remember when, like, this was the logo. My god, better days. Those are better days. Also, this, it's funny how this looks really similar to this now. It's like they're all trying to be the same. They're all trying to be the same bland, neutral, you know, unopinionated slop. Also, I've seen this as well. I've seen this as well. Like, this sucks. Like, man, I get the consistent color scheme, and I think that's cool, but this could be better. I don't even care about Apple. Fuck those guys. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And you know, like there are some oversimplified logos which look great, but most of them are poor decisions. And I don't know. It's what we're seeing is kind of crazy. If I go to Know Your Meme, Know Your MM, there should be a page on this. Here it is. Oversimplified logo. I'm gonna link this for anyone wondering. But yeah, it's got the Firefox one where this really started, and then it's just got loads of these like videos, which I won't be watching now, but if you're interested. But yeah, so it's interesting, and I think there's a lot of truth to this. Let's keep going. He talks about the internet for a bit, and this goes all the way back to the 90s, the 80s even. And this is essentially a brief history of the internet, and this was so interesting for me because what I realized during this, what I was reminded of, is how actually I really am not familiar with the kind of early internet. You can see memes these days. But like it goes all the way back to before these social medias were a thing, before the word meme was popularized, to the Wild West days of the internet, when having a home computer was kind of like this novel thing, even before that. And I'm not going to just regurgitate the whole video because he explains it better than me. But, you know, the internet and computers were just like a niche thing for businesses and tech nerds, you know, for like a few, years, a few decades. But what happened in the late 80s and the 1990s, well, the key thing was the invention of the World Wide Web in 92. And then you had Windows sort of bringing computers into a more kind of, you know, user-friendly format, so you didn't have to be like a tech nerd in order to use them. I think this is 1995. I think this is like the original Windows 1995 advert, which, by the way, I wish I had lived to use, because my favorite Windows UI is the oldest one I've ever used, which was Windows XP. Windows 95 looks so peak. I might see if I can get like a skin for that for Windows 10, if there is such a thing. Because I absolutely love the look and feel of it with the buttons and the you know, the colors. And like the thing is, genuinely, things were better arranged in these older versions. When you use Windows 10 now, let me show you if I can get out of this. Like when you use this now, it's so clunky and cluttered. Like, there's so much, like, what is all of this, you know? It's like, I literally never use this. I pin everything here, I put it on my desktop so I know where to find it. But back in the old days, you'd click start and you'd have, like, you know, the control panel, which I don't even know where to find it these days. It's somewhere in here. You have to search for the fucking control panel. And when you could just click, you'd have control panel, you'd have paint. It was good times. But yeah, it's changed. It's changed. I just realized that I'm using Firefox. I completely forgot to mention I'm using Firefox because I was having problems with my browser and ad block, so I've switched. Firefox seemed like the best one. I might keep it, I might not, we'll see. But yeah, I don't know if you guys, what browser you guys use, but yeah, I'm literally using Firefox now. This is a new thing for me. I've never used Firefox until the last few weeks. But yeah, we've got some statistics as well. The percent of the population who was using the internet in 95 was very, very little, less than 1%. But, you know, with the introduction of Macromedia Flash, you know, and 6 Degrees, which is the first social media, believe it or not, who basically had their idea completely ripped off by MySpace. Where is it? Is it here? Auction web became eBay. He basically tells the origin story of a lot of these huge websites. You can see how, you know, the internet grew exponentially in the 90s to almost 5,000 by the turn of the century. And, like, basically the origin of everything. This right here, this is MySpace. I don't know if you guys could even tell, because I was not familiar, but, like, all these background images, that's MySpace. You got the original Internet Explorer, you know, when that was new and actually used. There was a market crash, though, or something. I can't remember the details. But yeah, but basically, he goes through how, you know, the internet evolved in kind of periods from this point on. And I was born in 2001, and I started using the internet in earnest, as I like to say, in 2014. You see, 2014, August 24th, I get my own computer for the first time. August 26th, I open it, I set it up. Had a busy couple days before that, it was my birthday. And that was just over exactly 10 years ago. 10 years ago, that's when I started using my computer. And I've already been reacting to my older videos, and I'll finish that off in due time. But even before I recorded anything, I remember playing Minecraft for the first time, the demo for 1.7.10. I remember, you know, before I even knew about Five Nights at Freddy's, way before that, you know, making my own YouTube account. In fact, that didn't even happen for a few months, I think. I remember playing Minecraft. The thing is, 2014, before that, I didn't have my own device. I was 13 years old. I didn't have a phone yet, obviously. I didn't have any computers of mine before. Before 2014, I used my dad's laptop, mostly for playing Flash games. Occasionally, I would search random topics. Same with school computers. A lot of educational websites and resources and research, like, you know, throughout kind of the middle school years. I'm talking, like, age, like, 10 to 14. So, you know, I did get to second-hand experience a lot of the kind of 2010 onwards internet as well through my friends, some of which did have phones. And later on, because the great thing about the internet is that it's the ultimate preserver. I mean, yes, obviously it has its own flaws, but in ways that traditional media sources, you know, can be destroyed or damaged, internet stuff can be preserved literally for eternity. It can just be up there forever as long as, you know, the internet is still running, which is a hard thing to kind of stop, if not impossible. But yeah, and obviously I saw and heard a lot of things over the years. My, you know, understanding of gaming culture and meme culture and the internet has ramped up and up and up over the years, but that kind of pre-2014, pre-2012, pre-2010 internet, before Portal and Minecraft were even a thing, before, you know, Facebook, you know, was owned by Instagram, before Facebook, you know, back when YouTube was indie, back when, you know, Club Penguin was still, you know, new, back when, I guess, Angry Birds started, because, again, I had moments throughout my childhood. I had moments before 2010 or before 2014 where I'd borrow my older brother's phone to play a certain game, or, you know, my mum's computer. Like, the first YouTube video I ever watched that I can recall was an episode of Morph, you know, the orange clay guy. I'll show you guys if you want. but it was an episode of Morph. I was 7 years old. Mum sat me down on her lap, and we watched that together. When I was young, I used to have night terrors. I also remember watching a lot of stuff before bedtime. Like, if I had night terrors at, like, midnight or, like, 11 or whatever, and it's like I couldn't sleep, I'd go downstairs. Mum would, you know, she'd be there. I'd sit on her lap. We were on the computer. I was, like, 7 or 8, maybe. And we would watch, I don't know, I remember a lot of John Barrowman, but it wasn't Doctor Who. It was like, it's the actor from Doctor Who, and he's on this different show, and I can't remember what it was. But yeah, there was a lot of that, and it was something special. But what I was shielded from completely until 2014, more or less, was social media, and for that I'm grateful because I know what I've missed, more or less. I tell you what is really charming though, the really young internet going way back before like 2008, before I was old enough to even use a device, really. That's like the OG social media, the OG just exploring and finding random websites, and just the whole experience of doing really basic, simple things and making simple connections that we would take for granted as trivial things today. It's a whole different feeling. It's a whole different experience, and I'm just gonna talk about that next. But yeah. Excuse me. Anyways, but yeah, just to catch up with chat though, Firefox actually came out and said they'll never drop the Fox ever. The logo without the Fox is all for Mozilla products. The browser still has the Fox because Mozilla made more than just Firefox. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Google is super unjustified. Google has made the worst logo change ever. It's inconsistent. It actually makes me so mad. I'll check out that DM soon. Probably. Do you want me to show that DM on the stream? I can do that now. Yeah, this is a nice quick thing. I'll just show this off on the stream since we're talking about it. This is like oddly consistent to ChatGPT is very confident about this, or very confident about this, and I'm sure that's an intentional typo. How many R's are there in strawberry? There are 2 R's in the word strawberry. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. The word strawberry contains 2 R's, one after the T and one at the end. They didn't even get that wrong in the way I thought they would. Like, they said one after the T, which is factually logical, and then one at the end. First of all, there's 2, and second of all, it's not even at the end. It's before the Y, it's after the E. But I think, again, it's regurgitating stupid, you know, generalizations that other people say just to communicate things more easily, rather than going to the effort being area specific, which is what a bot probably should do. Corey's also DM me something. Do you want me to show that on the stream? But yeah. Yeah, Firefox. I've always heard good things about Firefox, but for one reason or another, I always use something else. But I think Firefox must be the best browser at this point, because I've done some research recently, and there's a few decent ones. Brave is okay. I only got it because it collaborated with Ecosia, to be honest. Ecosia is an excellent search engine, not a great browser. Chrome is obviously shit. Bing is obviously shit. DuckDuckGo, I guess, is fine. But yeah, Firefox is peak. Anyway, that's cool, DJ. Enjoy that. But yeah, you're only a year older than me. I was born in 2000. It's fine, I suck at math too. No, I am 23 years old. My birthday was just a few days ago, and I was born in 2001. That should all make sense. But yeah, my first time playing Angry Birds was at elementary school. It was in speech class. My teacher showed us the game. I started using my grandma's very old computer when I was like 2 years old. It was one of those computers where the screen was a fat box. Yes! Yes! My mum, so she got a computer as a birthday gift from my dad back in like 1998. And she used the same one for like 20 years. Like, all throughout my childhood, until literally just a few years ago, she decided to get a new one. In fact, I think it was less. I think she went without it for a while, but she got a new computer like less than a year ago. She had the same old like box computer with like Windows XP. Was it 98? It might have been 2008. I feel like that's... Windows XP didn't exist that early. I'm getting my timelines wrong. I think it was 2008, not 98. I remember there being an 8 in there, but still, like, over a decade, my mum used the same computer, and I remember it vividly from my childhood. But I swear to me, had it before. You know, I don't remember. It might have been 2005 or something. I actually don't remember. I'm getting my dates mixed up. But yeah. I'm horrified at how young I got on the internet. I'm on mobile. I'm sorry. Sobbing emoji. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, DuckDuckGo, I like the privacy thing, but that's really all they got going for them, so I don't know. But yeah, Volton, that's absolutely nuts. I know obviously a lot of you are younger than me, young enough to actually have a whole different experience with this fundamentally, because you've started off at a point where these things are more accessible and more normalized. I did actually have a phone. It wasn't mine, it was my mum's phone, but my mum did, there were a couple times where she gave me her phone. It was like a Nokia mobile with the physical buttons. Kind of retro, right? It was a Nokia mobile with physical buttons. And I remember one time when I was very young, the first time I ever stayed up super late, I was maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. And I stayed up till like 2 a.m. playing a game on a Nokia phone with like the pixel graphics, like one of those like, you know, auto whiteboards toys. I forget what they're called. And it was basically about this chicken. I think it was just called Chicken. You had to run down these platforms and not fall off or get hit from the side or hit by the spikes coming at the top, or you die. And my mum thought the game was called Kill the Chicken. We called it Kill the Chicken. We still do. And that was one of the first games I think I ever played. It was either that or something like Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing on the Xbox. Actually, no. That was a few years later, because that was the 360. Battlefront 2 was probably the very first game I played. Probably. Depending on how you define it. I remember watching that from the age of 6, so... But yeah. Spider-Man screensaver, that's amazing. Guys, keep bringing the anecdotes, because I'm loving this. But the thing is, as much nostalgia memories as I have nostalgia memories from an era I didn't really experience as well. Like, I've seen bits of it, and I sort of get it, but it's like, I don't feel it. Because there was a period before my time, well before my time, which I'm going to talk more about now. You know, I never played Club Penguin. I never got to see that. I did have a chance. It was around for many years before they closed down, but never interested me that much. I missed out on that. But, you know, MySpace. MySpace was before my time. I never used MySpace. Facebook. I remember when I started using Facebook, it wasn't even new anymore. But, you know, this was what MySpace looked like. And one of the main points of this part of the video is how insanely customizable it was. Look at that. Look at this. It's like, it's not just, you know, where you can kind of, you know, set yourself a profile picture and a username and stuff. It's like, you can design your own websites for sharing media, music, images, art, text posts. You've also got some of these early games. It's absolutely incredible. And these are kind of, you know, these old websites. And, you know, how things used to be. You know, with, in the early days when anyone could make their own website if they had the time, the skills. So you get a lot of these kind of like very rough around the edges, clunky, interesting, you know, dynamic and unique websites. But, you know, big corporations start getting a whiff of the internet, you know, after a few years. And by that point, things like Flash and YouTube have already developed. You know, he talks a bit about, you know, gaming and consoles as well, I think. There's a lot of stuff. But 2005 to 2010 is what Pat here really calls like peak internet. I mean, this I actually do know. Badges, mushroom. This is a video that I saw when it was new. When I was like a child. I don't remember what year this was exactly. I want to say 2007, 2006. Which means I would have been 5, 6, maybe 7 years old. So... yeah, like, this is an era of the internet I got to see just the fringes of, really. I remember the old YouTube UI. I actually never used Newgrounds that much. I was never a Newgrounds user. And I've used it a bit since, and I gotta tell you, there is way more porn on this thing than I expected, and it's really put me off. But, you know, you can see the rise of Twitter at this point in time. Reddit is happening. You know, meme culture. This is a part of the internet that I'm familiar with, because I kind of got to see at least the aftermath of it. But I want to skip forward a bit because, you know, he talks about how, you know, Facebook completely changed the scene. Because it was so much more user-friendly than MySpace, and so much more modernized. You can see how it overtakes it in 2008. It's got all these, you know, features like poking your friends. This is an excellent, you know, graphic, actually. I love the way this is visualized, but yeah, it's, absolutely crazy, to to look back and see these developments, because you couldn't really see it at the time. I was too young to even really understand or think about it, but like looking now, I get it. What happened is that, like, I just skip forward. Is it in this section? I thought it was in another one. He basically makes this great point of how, like, is it here? It is. The Adult Swim section, as he calls it. You know. What happens is that everything gets more kind of tidied up and polished and marketable, right? Back on MySpace, you could customize your backgrounds. That was actually a feature on YouTube for a while, apparently. But now, everything is just profile picture, banner. You know, on Facebook, you don't have all of this, you know, customization and kind of unique feeling, you know, structure to your page. It's just profile picture, banner. Twitter, profile picture, banner. You know, even on Reddit, it's just you know, you've got these two images. And he says that, you know, credit for Reddit for actually having these things, but it's like not enough. And also, in your feed, like, there are more ads. Just in every way, there are more ads than there used to be. The whole system of scrolling, this whole concept of scrolling, it's the same on all the different social medias. Like, what we're seeing here, linking back to the start, is this sort of convergence of the internet through social media and the corporations that own said social media. More people accessing the internet has led to this kind of refinement, but also this blandness. Everything sort of merging into the samey, mushy, boring kind of format and content. It's all kind of standardized. And I'm not casting judgment. I'm not going to say this is necessarily a good or a bad thing. Like he said, I think there's merits to it, but there's also, you know, real big downsides. But yeah, 2 ads per 10 posts is, you know, pretty low in some situations. There's also premiums now. And, you know, obviously there's the anti-capitalist argument here. We gotta be honest, we live in a capitalist world, so it dictates, you know, everything about our existence. So we have to talk about it. And capitalism, for all of the great many freedoms it's brought us and the, you know, quality of living that it's brought us, it also destroys. And yeah, late stage capitalism is a bit of a nebulous term. It's kind of hard to call something late stage when it hasn't ended yet, and I'm not sure I like the implications of that, but it's undeniable that what we've seen, especially in more recent years, since 2020, when all of these, you know, when this industry got a boom from everybody being stuck inside more often, what has really defined the 2020s so far has been an absolute extreme in how, you know, monetized all social media is and how atomized it is by design to keep you hooked. It tricks your brain to giving you, like, dopamine boosts. It's like a scientifically, like, researched thing. And it damages people's brains. And that's why it's kind of scary to think about younger generations, thinking to something we said earlier in the stream, of, like, younger people are going to be growing up, you know, while their brains are still forming, they're going to be absolutely addicted to social media. And it sounds horrible to say, because it's such a boomer-sounding thing. But the issue now is different to what it was years ago. This isn't just a fun, gimmicky thing. This is something that controls our lives insidiously. It's everywhere. And here you can see a montage of some, like, the earliest YouTubers and how back in the day, YouTube was essentially a place to put yourself out there. I mean, this is what I was doing in 2014. I was way behind the times. And just kind of, you know, just grabbing a camera and filming yourself in some way. Got the original Rhett and Link, but then you look at them now, and they're like a business. It's all changed. You know, it's no longer broadcast yourself. I remember when they had that, broadcast yourself. They don't do that anymore. And I mean, that's like the nature of the thing. Like, you know, if I had launched a YouTube channel, if I'd been a bit older, if I'd been born earlier, if I'd launched a YouTube channel earlier, if I'd done it at the right time, I could have ended up like Markiplier or MatPat. You know, because MatPat did a video one time with the generations of YouTubers and how kind of, you know, it started off as kind of just, you know, random media, and then it sort of became being a YouTuber was a thing, you know, and like certain media forms and the kind of refinement of that. And now we're in kind of like 4th or 5th generation YouTubers where people are sort of coming to YouTube where it's already an established thing. And it's much harder to get a foot in and grow and kind of, you know, accomplish your dreams, essentially, on YouTube. It's much harder now, because now, after decades of, you know, corporate investment and growing popularity and, you know, a lot of business. YouTube is more like the mainstream art scene, mainstream cinema, mainstream media than it used to be. It used to be this niche thing. But what we're seeing now, hence the parallel with movies and Hollywood drawing the first part with all these franchises, is the exact same with YouTube, you know? If you're a gaming YouTuber, you've either got to imitate what people did before you and or follow the latest trend. Like, you have to follow a formula. And I know about the gaming one, of course, because that's what I do. But there's obviously so many other, you know, things out there. If you're like a beauty fashion YouTuber, or if you're... Again, you have to kind of fit a box, right? And it's very difficult to break out of that. Especially if your, you know, time, energy, and money is limited. But yeah. And the thing is, my parents, that's really cool, Frog Balloon, that you got to see early 2010 internet pretty clearly, because of how tech-savvy your dad was. My parents were not tech-savvy in the way you'd expect. Like, my parents, they weren't stupid. What they didn't do, like a lot of people there did do, is kind of ignore and reject what they don't know out of fear. But they kind of embraced the internet and sort of understood enough basics to get by. My parents have never used the internet the way my sister and I have. You know, Tasha, Brotato. In fact, my older brothers, who were born in the early 90s and sort of graduated school, you know, around 2008, you know, 2010, when, you know, Tash and I were basically just getting started. They are so much has changed in such a little time that they're almost a whole other generation. Those who did use the internet, but they never did it in the same way we have. And obviously, you know, we've all, especially the younger of us, you know, gotten up to date and, you know, use it as it is now, more and more frequently. But yeah, no, I got a slow start on the internet because I really only picked up stuff from my friends at school more than my parents. And thankfully I had some good classes about, you know, online safety and stuff. But yeah, that one guy, I don't think I said hello. I already said hello to the Mixter, didn't I? Did I? Corey? I don't even know if I said your names. Anyway, but yeah, there's so many stories, so keep the anecdotes coming, so I'm fascinated to hear. I mean, I don't want to talk, you know, yet again about, you know, my initial experiences with Five Nights at Freddy's or YouTube specifically. But I could maybe talk about my initial Facebook experiences without doxing myself. Let's just say, because I deleted my Facebook, it's gone now. But Facebook, I kind of never got that deeply into. I only really actively used it from 2015 to 2016. It was like less than a year. And I sort of used it occasionally up to 2018. Then I just sort of forgot about it. But it was mainly a school thing because the school music department had a Facebook page. The school sports department had a Facebook page, you know. Facebook was kind of the go-to social media. And I remember you could actually post onto the page and it'd have to be like admin approved, but you could actually post something onto the page yourself. And one of the most cringeworthy things I ever posted, hopefully, will never see the light of day again because it's on there. And I also really hope it doesn't see the light of day because it would dox me, probably. So, yeah. But yeah, it's interesting, social media, because social media immortalizes everything you say and do. It makes sure that everything you say and do is recorded and can and will be held against you in a court of law. It's like there's no more, it's not like the old days where you could just say whatever and, you know, nobody would think about it for more than a day. You know, if it bothered somebody, like, it would be forgotten, it would pass on. But with social media, all these little details, even, not necessarily art, but people just broadcasting themselves. People just picking up a camera and hitting the go live button and waffling for hours on end at a bunch of people sitting at their devices who may or may not even be giving this their full attention, who are just randomers from across the world, who are often minors for some reason, and just, it's just there. Forever. Everything. Anyone at any time, if they wanted to, could go through this and find something out of context and pick it out and put it out there to do something bad. And you guys wonder why I'm so concerned about this purge. I mean, the thing is, I don't bury stuff by deleting it. I bury stuff by putting it in hours and hours of footage that nobody's going to watch because it's shit. I mean, the reason I switched to live streaming was because I just do not have the energy and time to produce, like, actual videos. If I did gaming videos in Markiplier style, which is pretty minimal editing, I would maybe get one out every 3 weeks, one out every month. It would not be much. It would be very lackluster. By streaming, I can cover stuff instantly, and occasionally I'll add timestamps and clip stuff, but yeah. I know it's not very rewatchable, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I guess I do this more for me than for anyone else. That's how it's always been. It's about you. It's YouTube, not WeTube or iTube. It's YouTube. It's all about you. And you know, a lot of it is just sort of me finding out what I really want and just having fun. It's a hobby. At the end of the day, I'm just here to have fun. This is what I do in my free time. For now. But I just realised I got a second drink here which I haven't drunk. It's a bunch of juice. It's orange and cranberry. Ah, it's nice. All the ice melted. But yeah, this is quite meta because this has really made me reconsider my place in all of this, and kind of what's the point, right? Like, why am I doing this? It kind of just goes back to that. But just continue going through this. You know, they talked about a lot of big YouTube channels. Mr. Beast is obviously quite relevant now, and how sort of, you know, business-oriented it's become. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but there's a bunch of critiques about the loss of charm with mainstream YouTube and how much harder it is to find, you know, talent these days. Although, he made a point essentially saying how all of, you know, and yes, you're seeing this, right? This is Five Nights at Freddy's in a non-Five Nights at Freddy's video. It crops up a couple times. But it's like, you know, things got kind of put into this box of formulas. And this is the YouTube that I started with. I started with the formulaic YouTube because when it came to Let's Plays, you had to do something in a certain formula. Although I do think they're genuinely talented people with, you know, stuff to do. People like Markiplier, PewDiePie, they did start off with this very formulaic, you know, what some people would consider slop. I do enjoy some of their older videos, but it's like, everyone was just doing the same thing. They were just overreacting to these silly little games, basically. And, you know, maybe there's something to be said about that culturally. This was a specific YouTube phenomenon, but I think it's an example of a wider and deeper issue about, you know, regurgitation, I guess, in the internet. Case in point. And, you know, think generative AI, regurgitative AI. It's all regurgitation. This is just like a random, like, Simpsons clip, except it's not random. It's very cleverly linked to what he's saying, but you gotta watch the full video. Also, VeggieTales predicted the whole AI thing, like, long ago. You can see how things have, like, changed now. If you look at PewDiePie now, it's very different. But yeah, that point kind of made me think on a bit more of a kind of meta, you know, side of things about me and where I fit into this personally, because what I got from this is that everything I've ever done, all the stuff that I've created on this channel specifically, has really just been part of the problem of just, you know, repetitive, lazy content. And, you know, I'm not too hung up about it. I don't, like, have any major regrets because of this. But it's like, yeah, it's just for fun, it's a hobby. Yeah, if I make a living, if I earn money from it, that's completely fair. I've, you know, signed a legal contract that YouTube gives all its creators, you know. I pay my taxes, so to speak, figuratively. But the thing about what I do here is because, as you guys have seen with my old channel, in a month I might get out 2 or 3 videos maximum. I was pushing the bar out with 4 videos a month for FNAF's 3rd anniversary back in 2017. And that's something we'll get to if we haven't got there already. But with making these, like, high quality videos, it took a lot of time and energy I didn't have. Because I'm still in education this whole time. I've been working through a degree. The pandemic happened. But way before that anyways, I switched to live streaming because I could just do much more efficiently. And it's been good. I think some people have really enjoyed it. But I think, like all things, it has certain limitations, certain strengths and weaknesses. But it's been 5 years now, guys. 5 years, and I've just been doing the exact same thing. You know, with Cosmos Universe, you look at like late 2016 versus early 2017, maybe a little bit better. If you look like 1 year to the next, like mid 2016 to early 2017, less than a year, there's so much improvement. There's so much evolution of like my techniques and skills, and it's not like a huge leap, and yeah, there's still a lot of room to grow, but it's noticeable. There's a noticeable rise in quality in 2017 with my older videos. With Mr. Matt, yes, I would say there's been a noticeable rise in quality since I've gotten my new computer, changed the setup, kind of reformatted things. We're talking like late 2021, early 2022. 2021 is where the big change happened. There's a lot of shit from before that, which is terrible quality. But since 2022, and this is by design, I have tried to be very consistent, making it so something from January 2022 could look like it was from now, and vice versa. And make it all very uniform and consistent and kind of, you know, quality all round. Basically, I wanted to raise the standard as high as I could back then, and keep it there. But, you know, obviously, aside from the games I play, and whatever, you know, speak space topics such as this I happen to do, it's all pretty much the same. It's just me, waffling. Maybe doing something with you guys, maybe it's a solitary thing, or maybe I've actually got a game going with chat. For example, later today, because it doesn't work with my schedule, I'm recording a Lethal Company video rather than streaming it. It's another Challenge Moon. I thought the last Challenge Moon would be the last I'd ever do, but maybe I should do a Challenge Moon every time there's a big update, because this one added a new interior, and I want to spend more time on it, and that's why we're doing that. I don't know when that'll be released. I am going hiatus. It might happen during the hiatus, it might happen after, it might be like in a month or in a week, I don't know, I'm sorry. But, you know, regardless of all that, and the benefits of, you know, my live streams, like, yeah, I've made friends, I've forged relationships, you know, I've brought together people who would otherwise perhaps be worse off in life. Not necessarily because of me, but because of the, you know, indirect effects of things I've instigated, things I've done. You know, I brought communities together, like, you know, it's social. There's also, you know, the whole goodwill thing. Like, yeah, we've raised a few hundred cash for charity, actually, and I did donate some of that myself. Like, we've done a bunch of charity streams, and no, they're not going to be as frequent as I would like moving forward. I can't do them quite as often as I did in 2022 and 23, but they're not going away. There will be charity streams in future. In fact, I might just make any event in future a charity stream, if I can. And that's just a great thing to do. That's just... There's no downside to that. It's like, not only am I using my time to do something fun and to bring people together socially, a lot of us who are, you know, introverts or socially awkward or whatever, but, you know, actually using that to raise funds towards something that could save lives or improve lives or, you know, change people's situations who are, you know, very disadvantaged. Yeah, that's all great. That's all great. Like, there's no problem. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. But this has really made me reflect and think, couldn't I be doing more? Couldn't I be doing something really cutting edge? I mean, like, let's be real here, okay? Like, I've done a degree now. Like, I'm beginning to get to the heights of expertise in an actual field of study which has a lot of transferable skills and has a lot of unique ways to be relevant to things like the internet and media. That's literally the angle I'm going from doing public history. But, you know, aside from that as well, like, I read, you know? Like, my parents have always tried to really foster an intellectual, you know, skill set in me, and I think they've succeeded in that partly. You know, I actually spend every waking moment, you know, unless I really need to relax, actually working on something, creating something. This is easy. I can do this automatically now. So what that's shown is that I'm creating a situation where I'm going to stagnate. If I just keep going doing this, I'm just going to stagnate. I'm just going to do the same old boring things. It's just become a waste of time. And instead, I should be putting my energy and time into something fresh and unique and different so I can keep challenging myself. You know, Markiplier once said, never get comfortable in life. I think he has a lot of philosophy that people could learn from. He's like the pure version of, like, alpha male influencers. He's like the positive version of discipline and masculinity. Even though he's a bit of a masochist and he's saying he doesn't hold people to his standard, he just expresses kind of his beliefs, and he's so base for that, because individuals like him kind of have in turn influenced me through this whole internet thing. It's another reason why it's so wonderful. And I keep mentioning Markiplier in particular because I still follow him. He's been a rare gem of someone who has consistently been, you know, a role model and an idol, you know, for people over the time. Like, I fully admit that I do idolize him a bit, which is probably not right. But also, he's gone this long without, you know, getting cancelled or doing anything illegal. I think he's alright. I like what he does. And getting back on topic, I just think, you know, in life, you have to keep challenging yourself. You can't ever just sit back and let the world pass you by and be comfortable. Because the whole point of life has got to be to improve. Because if you don't keep working, if you don't keep improving, you're never going to have new experiences. You're never going to be fulfilled, you know, further than you already are. You're not going to know what you're missing out. It's worth the trials and tribulations. It's I guess it's like adversity. And not necessarily anything bad. Not necessarily, you know, unnecessarily suffering and harm. I mean, pushing yourself to achieve things you want the only way you can. Within a reasonable and legal and moral limit. Like, I think, you know, adversity is essential to improvement and to a fulfilling existence. And that's not why I'm doing the purge, but I'm sort of realizing, actually, unconsciously, that's been one of the reasons. I need to mix it up. Change for change's sake. Because if I keep doing the same thing for too long... And believe me, there's been a lot of times in life where things have moved too quickly, and I've not liked that, but it is good that I am kind of keeping pace and keeping things going. Honestly, I'm going to be... When I finish this degree I'm starting, I'm going to have been at my university for 6 years, since 2020. If it weren't for the pandemic, that probably would have only been 4 years. But regardless, any longer than that would be too long, so I'm glad it's going to keep moving. And it's not like I can't go back and visit. I have the, you know, privilege of being able to do that, but... yeah. Anyway, yeah, just to catch up with chat. Went on a bit of a tangent there, a bit of a ramble, but hopefully you found some value in it, because this is the point. I want to communicate all these things I've been thinking and feeling and see if maybe this is good for someone else out there. Someone has to have been thinking the same thing, right? But yeah. But yeah. No, it's really unfortunate how companies collect and buy and sell data from you. It's absolutely insane, and it's really scary. Because it's like, once it's up, you can't get rid of it, and it's so hard to withhold stuff. You know, fingerprint biometric data, you know? You know, like, yeah, in just a few minutes. Like, all the algorithms and cookies. Cookies, man. Cookies are evil. The way it targets you based off your search pattern, yeah. Every single letter you type in. Yeah. Honestly, like, the only reason I'm not worried is because I'm just another rando in a face of, you know, nobodies. But, like, if I were to ever become famous, being famous in this day and age is a real risk, because every single thing you've ever said or done online has been monitored somewhere. Someone knows it, and it could be shared somehow. Everything. But, you know, I think we all have skeletons in our closet, and we all did a lot of stupid things when we were younger. And, you know, bringing up a tweet from 12 years ago is just silly. It's just the facts. Judge people how they are now. Anyway, just to bring up a quick question in regards to video editing. Is this why you're slowly stepping away from continuity error and every now and then video on this channel that's edited? Yeah, DJ. Yes. It's just, I can't do it. I've got other things going on in life. And I think I'm a habitual creator. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to stop making stuff, but it's going to take a different form. There might actually be nothing for a while, but maybe when I've got my degrees done and I've settled down with a job in 5 years, maybe. Who knows? Who knows where I'll be at then? Another 5 years. Yeah, man. But yeah, I am still struggling to push through continuity error videos. Like, it's literally all been done except for the video editing for so long. But I can't just put it up as, like, audio only, because that would be rubbish. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is the thing, Voltan. You know, the internet's a magical thing. Enough skill, enough time, patience, and luck, and you'll get it. Like, Genuinely, it's really interesting to see that out of everybody in this community, I'm pretty sure you have the largest following. Somehow. Somehow. Your content's shit. No. I mean, no disrespect, but I don't watch your stuff. It doesn't appeal to me. But, look at this. This is quality. You know, in terms of, like, subscriber count and videos and views. Like, look at what Robbie's achieved here. I mean, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. Because, again, what you've done here is obviously latched onto a trend with the title and thumbnail. You've got, like, an interesting idea. But the crucial thing is that it's actually, like, a quality video that when people click on it, they don't click off. And, you know, you've played the game. You've, you know, played it right. And, you know, you're reaping the rewards. It's a beautiful thing to see, dude. All power to you. I definitely would watch some of these. I kind of want to watch this, but I don't know where I'm going to get 2 hours, 43 minutes, and 23 seconds to watch it. Damn, I actually kind of want to watch some of these guys. I know what this is. I might watch that just for the hell of it, even though I don't need to. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on here. I really should watch more of you and Aaron Lethal Company. It's crazy. But, like, man. Like, I don't follow your channel, but oh my goodness. Oh my goodness me. Well done. And yeah, the final chapter of this video was about artificial intelligence. Note the hacked font. And this was essentially just talking about the latest developments and how AI is going to, like, change possibilities in future. And the kind of frightening reality of people being in a kind of, you know, Ready Player One reality where everyone's just locked into screens all the time and, like, nothing is real. And you go outside and it's just like a barren wasteland or something. It's crazy. But, like, oh my god, all these AI videos and YouTube Shorts, I see these all the time. It's terrible. It's like, those images aren't even real, I'm pretty sure. They're probably AI generated. But yeah, it's pretty creepy. And they didn't want to sound too doom and gloom, but, you know, it's, you know, literally dead internet theory is discussed here. Like, these are all, like, bot comments, I think, on the next bit. It's like AI content consumed by AI users. Like, this is an AI video. That isn't real. That was made with AI. That isn't real. If someone had shown that to me and asked me if I thought it was AI generated, well, obviously I'd probably assume yes because they asked, but, like, it would never cross my mind that this was AI generated. I know we joke about AI, but, like, some of it's getting really convincing to the point where, you know, if you look closely, you can see the issues. Her arm just goes into nothing there. And, like, this hand doesn't seem to be connected to this person properly. But, like, the focus is on the cat, and the cat looks completely real. Like, I still can't spot anything, aside from the arm being weird there, that doesn't look real about this. Like, this looks incredibly real, and that's freaky. But yeah, like, these are all AI comments. Those are all bots. I think those ones are real. But yeah. But also the algorithms and recommendations, where we talk about the searches and stuff and how it's just worse. And it is quite doom and gloom. It is quite a doom and gloom, like, ending, and I don't know why my end cards are appearing early. I think it's a Mozilla Firefox thing. It is a bit of a doom and gloom thing, but there's a, you know, ray of sunshine at the end. And I don't know if I entirely agree with this guy's take, but it is an absolutely fantastic video essay. And it's gotten me thinking, and I think I've said everything I want to, really. But, you know. Again, why did the 2010s look like that? That's a video I'm going to watch. I haven't seen this one yet, so I'm going to give this a watch. But here's another thing, guys, about the kind of blandness and greyness of the world now and the loss of identity. I think we're still living in the fallout of the, you know, COVID-19 pandemic, and that's a factor. It's still very recent. We're less than 5 years out from that, so let's not judge yet till the decade's over. But when I think of every decade since the 1920s, I can visualize it. I can immediately see which colors, which clothing, which art, music, style it has. You think of the 80s and what pops into mind? When I say the 80s, you've got all, like, the big hair and shoulder pads of musicians, or those music videos with, like, the retro graphics, or the kind of, like, you know, neon glowing lines and stuff, all those like old like VHS videos. You know, you've got you know, that era of Doctor Who, that era of politics. You know, for a British guy. But you know, there's immediate visual, right? If I say the 50s or the 40s, yeah, I say the 50s, like post-war. If you think 50s, you think of the cars, don't you? Like the different design cars they had back then, kind of like the fedora, like hats they always used to wear, the trilbies, you know, the jackets, all the like, you know, clothing, you know, the kind of retro, you know, fast food places and the kind of burgeoning, you know, modern world post-World War II. You think of kind of like music, like jazz, like sort of, you know, taking hold of the younger generation and the sort of like cultural norms that were, you know, generational, you know, norms that were starting to manifest in such a way. Pick any decade up to the 2000s, and I can immediately picture it. The 2000s, just go to Breaking Bad, you know, flip phones, you know, early internet, you know, TXT, HTML. 2010s, it's kind of blurry. I don't know. When I think the 2010s, I don't think of this, although I can kind of see where they're coming from. I don't think of that. The 2010s is kind of a weird mix to me, because I think there's pre-2014 and post-2014 for a number of reasons. 2020s, it's too early to say, but like the point is, there isn't really like an immediate visual for me with the more recent decades, and maybe that'll change, but I don't really know what the flavour was in the last decade, or this one. There's a clear flavour, you know, for each one, but culturally, we're becoming more moulded together in a way that's perhaps not the best. Just to respond to chat and catch up, because we are approaching the end of the stream now. It is 7 o'clock, so if you guys... I haven't done this in a while, but screw it. This might be the last stream I do for a while. This is like the end of a 5-year run to me. This is like the epilogue to the climactic finale. We had the FNAF anniversary. So one last time, for old time's sake, in case I remove this from my format, if you guys have enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and share this with your friends. Chat the links in the description. No chatty shoutout or QOTD today, but man, it's been a long time since I did that consistently. But yeah, everything is added over here. I did link this, didn't I? It ends in MG. Well, well, well. Alright. This doesn't appear to be working, unfortunately. Here we go. Alright, well. Hey, it's working! Well, this is the next thing. This is the next thing. Trying to blind you guys with a white light. That's just a warning. There's going to be a lot of that. But yeah. 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 I know, right, Frogballoon, I know. Corey, did you? I'm gonna be honest, I completely forgot. I completely forgot that you offered to help edit them. You're welcome to, but the thing is, I don't want to waste our time, because there's no point taking a video from a few years ago and editing that now. There's no point bringing that back up. I did that with the Joy of Creation, and it was sort of alright, but I don't know, dude. I don't know how exactly that would work. Frogballoon did this excellent video edit of one session we played of Forgotten Pizzeria. If I could make one of those a week, I still wouldn't cover all the games that I think we'd all like me to, unfortunately. But yeah, I think if I ever, the only way I'm ever really going to do that again is if I seriously attempt turning a YouTube channel into an independent business, which would be a career move that I'm not going to be ready for quite a few years yet. I think for now it has to be a side thing. It has to be a hobby, just practically. So there's only going to be a certain amount of quality and quantity. I really appreciate the offer though. We could definitely do something, but at the moment, I'm not even sure what I really want to do anymore, so now's not a good time to ask. I'm really sorry I forgot about that, but maybe another time. That's my answer for now, and that goes to everybody. But yeah, you're welcome, Robbie. I'm just saying what I see. It's the truth. I wouldn't say if it wasn't true. You're also a dickhead, by the way. I want to start just randomly insulting people. I'm feeling a little devious today. It's like, you know, Frogballoon, I really appreciate that edit you did. That was fantastic. Also, your profile picture's a goofy-ass motherfucker. KYS. Keep yourself safe. Nah. But that's the internet, isn't it? Bizarre mashup of all things nice and not nice. But yeah. It's weird how sometimes people just choose to do things that they know won't make them happy, myself included. Same! It's like, man, I really didn't want to stream all those FNAF fan games, but I still did it. Like, I'm just gonna be upfront and honest with you guys about it now, because I've made my mind up, and I even though I didn't really announce it properly, I'm so fucking tired of FNAF games. I'm so fucking tired, man. Like, oh my god. I mean, it wasn't like torture, but especially with Five Nights at Fan Games, the last like 20 or 30 of those streams, the last 10 definitely, I was just pushing through to reach number 50 and check everything off my list that people could possibly want, and there was still more. But I've definitely covered all the important ones at this point. I have to have done. It's just, I know what's there and why people want it, but my god, it's just too much of the same thing. It's too much. We didn't start the fire. Do you know what, DJ? That's a brilliant thing to bring up. That is absolutely phenomenal, because we didn't start the fire is basically the welcome to the internet of the 20th century. That is absolutely genius, and I love that you've made that connection. Oh my goodness. We didn't start the fire. That's amazing. Also, why do they talk the same? Also, that's awesome. I am getting some great recommendations today, because the algorithm's great. You need to watch this. Hold on a second. Obviously no audio, but it's only got the start of the lyrics there for some reason. But yeah, this is genius. But yeah, this is from 1989. The video's from 2009. This is from 1989, and it's basically just like a summary of how the world's always been on fire, but it's like a very Cold War era. Could you not? I just want the lyrics, please, because that's a genius connection, DJ. I forget the lyrics. I should really learn this one, but like, it's basically just a series of references to historical events, and it's all kind of like post-war political real world. Like, I've studied some of this. You know, you can literally see the years going up, you know, 1949, 1953, you know, 1960. Look at this. It's just a bunch of different references. And it just slowly goes through time until, well, 1989, I guess. And I would love to see a modern take on this that adds, you know, the rest of the 20th century, maybe the 21st, or maybe there needs to be a new song. But like, welcome to the internet, it almost kind of like scrapes the surface of this, but it's more narrow. It's very fixed on social media, internet specifically. I think if there was a song like this that just took loads of names and locations and managed to make them these brilliant rhymes with a banger chorus that included up to like 2020 or 2010 or now, whenever. That, I don't know, that's a brilliant connection, DJ. That's brilliant. I mean, and the video as well, absolutely historic. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. I forget what this is. Ah, yeah. It is. I thought it was. So this is the explanation of the Firefox Mozilla thing. Oh my goodness, I forgot I was using my old PFP. I was joking about your profile picture, but yeah, actually, you haven't updated it. Anyway, maybe Frog Balloon. You don't, if anyone wants to make edits to my content, please go ahead. You don't have to, but if there's something you want to do. But anyway, if you gotta go, I'll see you around, man. Thanks for tuning in. But anyways, it's time to wrap this up, guys. It's 7:15. I think I'm gonna end the stream now. Just to touch on a few more things. This is gonna be a whole section. We're probably not gonna spend so much time on this now. This inspired me to go looking for old websites. I was so inspired, I thought, man, what if I could experience the old internet from before 2010? What if I could actually just go there? what if I could travel back in time and just visit these pages and experience them? And obviously that's not possible now. Not possible to travel back in time, but there are a few old website pages that are still up. And I went looking around in the comments of that video essay, on Reddit, through Google search, and I found a bunch of things. This is Vortex Technology, a business computer consulting service. Nothing to do with phones, tablets, or any other products or services. And it is old. It is very old. As you can see, you've got the old image. Got a random dude on a bike here. I wonder who this is, or and when this was taken, and why. It's got all this info on it. And this is just like an old business. Like, look at these dates. It goes back to the 90s. The last time this site was updated was probably in like 2002. Network Neutrality Squad. Again, network neutrality was still, you know, like a thing all the way back then. I didn't know this. This is from 2014. This is from 2014? So this was still going for a while. No, last update, I'm seeing loads of different dates on here. Why does it say... Right, so there were future posts in 2014. This is from 2007 and was updated in 2012. So this isn't even that old, relatively speaking. But yeah, there's like, someone called Lauren Weinstein has just shared all this stuff on Google. Some of it's still available. But yeah, I've got a bunch of these though. But yeah, they're already aware of some of the hot topics. But yeah, we got Kane, Farber and Gordon Inc. here. This is an internationally known firm of software and systems professionals which concentrates on solving hard problems. Founded in 1970 by Steve Kane, Dave Farber, and Kent Gordon. So this is a company that's ancient. And PDL. They're introducing PDL, a tool for software design. I wonder what that stands for. PDL. Program Design Language. Which has been in use since the 70s. But it has this lengthy explanation, because this was all way more complicated and new back in the day. But basically, it's just a form of structured programming. It's organization. It's sort of pre-AI, I guess, from a certain point of view. You can see here like what they've got. It's fascinating. But it's like, this was cutting edge once upon a time. And it's so interesting to look at it now. I mean, I'm not seeing any dates on this. But if you go to the contact page, I don't see a year anywhere. But I think, like, this... I mean, you can tell from the UI, this is old. PDL 81. Like, the layout of the website as well. Like, modern websites have so much fluff, but it's like, this is genuinely great. Like, yes, the color scheme is not great to look at, but it's like, you can just easily navigate it. And you can just read about PDL. It's interesting. But yeah, I'm actually gonna bookmark these, save them for later. Because there's more. I've got a whole bunch here, and I just want to run through them. Just to look and get a glimpse, a window back in time. I left a comment, I should go check. I don't know if they answered it, but... These are just random websites I managed to find which looked interesting. I should really thank Reddit and the random people of Reddit who I'm never gonna remember the names of for helping me find some of these. I really should have taken note of that. Maybe I could find it again. But yeah. Yeah. It's good, isn't it? Wink wonk. Okay, alright. But yeah, welcome to Melt Communications Co-op, your lactose pipeline established in 1994. So this, as it says here, quite funnily, no, this isn't, yeah, here we go. Despite many indications to the contrary, Many people seem to think that this site has something to do with the people that do those Got Milk commercials and milk mustache ads, or that it is somehow related to the dairy industry at all. Well, to finally clear up any questions you may have on the matter, it doesn't and it's not. For a while, I politely replied to the misdirected mail, then I ignored it for a while. Finally, I decided to have a little fun and mail back usually silly responses. With that being said, here is a sampling of the mail I get and the responses I send when I feel like it. Guys, pick a number. Okay, this is actually hilarious. So this is just, I don't even know what this website is. A bunch of fun stuff cleverly disguised as a web service. This is basically just someone's website. This is just a random dude who has a milk-themed website that has nothing to do with the milk industry. People thought it was to do with the milk industry because they would search milk, I guess, and this is the first thing that would come up. People occasionally email me about buying the domain milk.com from me. I usually respond to such requests with, how much are you offering? These days, if you don't mention a number, I probably won't mail you back. However, let me warn you that I like the name and I have a reasonably well-paying job, so it'll have to be a pretty damn good offer. Note that a number in whole US dollars, which includes fewer than 8 significant digits to the left of the decimal point, does not constitute pretty damn good in my book. That is, if you're not offering 10 million, I'm not interested. Many people ignore the above and still seem to insist I should be willing to take less. Keeping in mind that, as I said, like the name, realize now that if I'm going to sell out, I'm going to do it right. Furthermore, I've done my research. According to their information website, the National Fluid Milk Processor Program Promotion had annual revenues of approximately 103 million in 2012. They used this to fund various marketing efforts, including a couple of ad campaigns, among other things. Clearly, if these guys wanted it, they could afford to buy the domain. I don't have an official link for the California Milk Presser Board, but according to this article in the UC Davis Innovator, in 1999 their revenues were a more modest 27 million a year, which they used for a Got Milk ad campaign, among other things. Maybe it'd be a bit more of a stretch for them compared to their national counterpart, but if they could afford the domain too, if they wanted it badly enough. So, this is actually updated 2024, but it's like this guy, this random guy, long ago, before people caught on to how valuable domain names were, he got the milk domain name, like just milk. And for decades, people have been trying to get it off him. And that's hilarious. This is a historical source. It's fascinating. And just to look at this, I want to look at a restraining order against milk. What is this? It's from 2001. So, you can see the exact date and everything. Is it true that milk is bad for you? Yes. How did you find that out? Milk is indeed very bad for you, but that's only because I was bad to milk when I was little. I have since apologised to milk, but it didn't do any good. Now milk has a vendetta just for me. I got threatening phone calls from milk nearly every day. I started the process of getting a restraining order against milk, but the authorities don't seem to think that beverages are capable of making phone calls, and worse, I live in constant fear that someday, somehow, milk will finally get me, and it will all be over. Let this be a lesson to you: do not taunt milk, treat it with respect, for it has a long memory, and is not quick to forgive. Take care, Dan. And as always, remember to smile. This is like Scott Cawthon humour, honestly. This is like the actual era that Scott Cawthon was kind of, you know, getting into a groove. Hell, this is still later on. Like, bro started in the 90s. Scott Cawthon's an original internet troll. But, like, what is this? Pint of Technology. This sounds like a distractible episode title. Pint of Technology. My name is Sharon Diller. I'm currently searching for scholarships and I'm wondering if any scholarships are available. Please contact if you can help me in any way. Do you, Yahoo? For the third year in a row, Milk.com is sponsoring the Pint of Technology Award. This award goes to an outstanding youngster who shows they have a passion for computers and an appetite for milk. After poring over thousands of applications, we picked one qualified candidate and sent them a coupon good for a free pint of chocolate milk. In the past, recipients of this distinguished award have used the money they saved on milk that day for such things as a blank CDR disc or a day's worth of AOL connectivity. What may you do with the prize? The sky's the limit. Take care, good luck, and look for applications at your neighborhood grocer. So, Dan Bornstein being hilarious. That really indicates the age of this thing. CDR disc, AOL. Who remembers AOL? Because my mum had AOL. I think she still does. I think my mum has used AOL for like decades, like actually. And I remember that was like her email and browser when I was little. AOL was so good. I love AOL. They were so fun. But yeah, the last one's from 2005. So I don't know if this has actually been updated much since. The copyright said 2024. So unless they wrote that for a specific reason, I don't know. But look at this! There's hyperlinks to, like, random images of this guy, like, specifically, from his first name and his last name. That's fun. The Milk AFQ. Occasionally, our adoring public has a salient question. Here are the most frequently asked, along with clear, concise answers. Please only send mail if your question has not already been answered on this page. And all of it's just moo. It's just a complete troll. And I adore this. This is like a whole world that I never really got to see. Like, imagine the early internet. You just search, like, random words and you find this stuff. And it survived. All this time, it survived. Look, you got the Owly Kitten. The Owly Kitten. I have no idea what most of this even is. They also have a store. Which has a few interesting designs. But yeah. Again, I could go so deep on this one website, but for the sake of time, we've got to move on. We've got another one here called Bicycle Gear Design, IT Corp. So, a one-stop site for designing bicycle gearing systems. And it's literally just a hobby site. It's the perfect example. Like, it's such a cliche, but it's real. It's like, click here to choose your chain wheels, cassette freewheel parameters, and gearing preferences. Your ideal freewheel options will be calculated for you. Or perhaps you want more detailed instructions. It's often the best way to approach things. RTFM, as they say. I don't know what RTFM means. But it's just teaching people how to design a bicycle gearing system. It's basically customized bicycle. Like, you can choose number of chainings, like cogs, chainring. Like, it will just... You can just do this. And it's crazy how detailed it is, because like I don't know anything about bike. Like this is, I don't know what this is. There's like advanced options, everything, next solution. Oh, it doesn't work anymore because it requires JavaScript. Oh, that's sad. You can't even use it anymore because there's no JavaScript. But yeah, I mean, that is something special, alright. They have an FAQs page, which is two things. First things first, we're still getting it working. Pretty will come later. And that will probably, you know, that didn't age so well, I guess. But yeah. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. Space Jam. Copyright 1996. This is like a proper kids website. Like, I've played games and sites that have looked like this since I was young. It's like actually, you know, just an entire Space Jam themed websites. And like, look how like you got the pattern tile background and you got all these things you can click. You know, if you want to view the trailer, you actually can't because it's a QuickTime. It's such an old format. It's not supported. You can't even download it. But, you know, there's all these different like games and activities and things to read that you can look at. This is like a proper kids website. Like the idea is that you like print that off and then it's like yours. Gosh, this is like basketball tips and tricks. This is what I live for. This is an actually like polished website from like before 2010. This might be from like the 90s, honestly. I don't know how old this is. But there's like a trivia quiz, which actually still works. What rival calls bugs a long-eared galoot? I have no idea. I'm just gonna pick randomly. Not Wile E. Coyote because they don't speak. Yosemite Sam? My gut was telling me that. How old is Bugs Bunny? There's a few. I'm just gonna. 88. No. I thought it would be funny, like he'd be really old. Yeah, 56, because it's the 60s, isn't it? It was the 60s when they. Or the 50s? I really don't know. I don't know anything about Space Jam. That name rings a bell. Nope. That's probably one of the later ones. Mel Blanc. Been very consistently getting the second one correct, so let's just see. I'm thinking it could be any of these, really. Would it be this? That's like the one thing I thought it wasn't. Hair tonic? No. But yeah, if you get them all wrong, you can just go back. But it's like an actual quiz. And like, you've got, you know, like, the soundtrack. This is like, the radio stations listed. How analog is that? It's like, instead of like providing links or media files, it's like, here's a list of the radio stations where you can pick up this song. Radio stations. I've never seen anything like it. Because that's where the state of technology was at the time. But yeah, some of it's obviously not fully there. What else have we got? What have I not looked at? Jump station? Cool links and hijinks. Links and other links. But yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff. They even had some kind of Flash game, I think, which unfortunately doesn't work anymore. But it's so charming. It's like, I genuinely feel nostalgic for this, even though I've never really into Space Jam, and it's like a whole thing which I wasn't there for this. Same with this. But yeah, this is Heaven's Gate, which I thought was like a fictional TV show, but this seems to be like a fictional religion. Like, it's written as a religious text. It's like, whether Halebop has a companion or not is irrelevant from our perspective. However, its arrival is joyously very significant for us at Heaven's Gate. The joys that our older member in the evolutionary level above human, the Kingdom of Heaven, has made it clear to us that Halebop's approach is the marker we've been waiting for. The time for the arrival of the spacecraft from the level above human to take us home to their world, in the literal heavens. Our 22 years of classroom here on planet Earth is finally coming to conclusion. Graduation from the human evolutionary level. We are happily prepared to leave this world and go with T's crew. If you study the material on this website, you will hopefully understand our joy and what our purpose here on Earth has been. You may even find your boarding pass to leave with us during this brief window. We are so very thankful that we have been recipients of this opportunity to prepare for membership in their kingdom, and to experience their boundless caring and nurturing. And yeah, it's a little creepy. It's a little creepy, honestly. Like, this is spooky. Because they all talk in this, like, really strange way, and I don't know what they're talking about. Like, our position against suicide. That really stuck out to me. We know that it is only while we are in these physical vehicles, bodies, that we can learn the lessons needed to complete our own individual transition, as well as complete our task of offering the Kingdom of Heaven to this civilization one last time. We take good care of our vehicles so that they function well for us in this task, and we try to protect them from any harm. I won't read the whole thing, blah blah blah. But they talk about, you know, ascending to another form of being, and, you know, to be mentally prepared for whatever comes our way. They talk about, like, Masada, a devout Jewish sect in 73 AD, who got, you know, attacked by Romans. And yeah, it's, like, really creepy. The true meaning of suicide is to turn against the next level when it is being offered. In these last days, we are focused on two primary tasks. One, of making a last attempt at telling the truth about how the next level may be entered. Our last effort of offering to individuals of this civilization the way to avoid suicide. And two, taking advantage of the rare opportunity we have every day to work individually on our personal overcoming and change in preparation for entering the Kingdom of Heaven. It's really creepy. Like, this is definitely like a fictional, like, religion or something, but it's so creepy. But it actually looks quite nice and polished as a website. I like the space background. Here we go. This is a funny one. Things my girlfriend and I have ever argued about, now incorporating Mill's apology homepage. But, I've not seen this. But yeah. Basically, this guy called Mill and his girlfriend called Margaret argue about everything. That's creepy. Why does it do that? I didn't notice this before. What the hell? That's really creepy. But he says, you know, nothing keeps a relationship on its toes so much as a lively debate. Fortunate, then, that my girlfriend and I have absolutely nothing to agree on, at all. Combine utter polar disagreement on everything ever with the fact that I'm a textbook-only child and she's a violent psychopath, and we're warming up. Then factor in my being English while she is German, which not only makes each one of us personally and absolutely responsible for the history and the social and cultural mores of our respective countries, but also opens up a whole field of sub-arguments grounded in grammatical and semantic disputes, and, well, just try saying anything and walking away. So examples, okie dokie. We have argued about the way one should cut a kiwi fruit in half, leaving the kitchen door open, the best way to hang up washing, those little toothpaste speckles you make when you brush your teeth in front of the mirror. I eat two-fingered Kit Kats like I'd eat any other chocolate bars of that size, i.e., without feeling the need to snap them into two individual fingers first. Margaret accused me of doing this deliberately to annoy her. And this is when I really got hooked on this site, because I have basically had the same experience with my girlfriend. I'm a British guy, she's German. The similarities probably end there, but yeah, I just think it's quite funny. Like, I can kind of see myself and Lucy in this. We don't actually argue that much, but occasionally we pretend to, and it's really funny. I love this. The amount of time I spent on the computer. Okay, fair enough. How to pronounce firstborn's name. You know, She wants to paint the living room yellow. I have no words. Baywatch. The type of iron to buy. Price wasn't an issue. It was the principle, damn it. A telephone number. And then they've just got all of these, like, stories, and it's just a rant. It's absolutely hilarious. Like, you could spend hours and hours just exploring this and seeing all the little details. And I went looking. I did a bit of digging, and I believe this guy still has social media pages that he is updating in 2024. He had a Google Plus, you know, back when that was a thing. But Mill still has a Twitter that he occasionally posts on, and a YouTube channel that he occasionally posts on, which is absolutely incredible. Like, imagine meeting people through this and keeping touch over such a long period of time. Like, I wonder what I would say to Mill now if I could. Like, this is like a gem of, like, the old internet. And yeah, I wonder, when I've got, like, time, I'm just gonna sit down and read this, I think. What an experience. There's also peep research. Those resilient little birds. As we plunge into the 21st century, it's time to take a closer look at the technological wonders we create. Here, we try to discover just a little bit more about the world around us through the miracles of science, technology, and preservatives. We hope you enjoy this educational tour as we characterize everybody's favourite Easter candy, the marshmallow peep. Again, you've got individual bloggers, you've got businesses, and it's crazy. And they actually have, like, photos and it's adorable. They have this, like, candy, like, bird thing. Control procedure. As with all good experimentation, we start with the control. Here we see the effects of sudden force on a room temperature peep. Next, of course, we had to get the peeps cold. Now, we could have placed them in a refrigerator for a while, but we didn't feel like waiting. So fill the bucket with liquid nitrogen, what else, and drop the peep in. The peep was submerged in the negative 210 degrees Celsius nitrogen for about 60 seconds. Upon removal, gentle pressure was applied, and the results evaluated. Conclusion. Taken together with these data extend the previous observation that peeps are rarely found in polar regions. Falcons in Ring 1994 submitted for publication. The presence of peeps in such an environment clearly leads to disastrous results as illustrated above. I don't think I need to explain why this is funny and satirical, and writing a kind of fictional story and lore for this, like, product, but it's such a funny way to sell, and I don't know how successful it was, but it's absolutely charming. And it's like, this is actually, like, proper scientific method. This is what my science textbook looked like when I was younger. You know, they got like, oh yes, state-of-the-art sequence. The peep was returned to a more elemental state known commonly as fluff, or marshmallow fluff. We all know the atmosphere of Venus consists of a large part of ammonia. Yeah. So it's like, this is why there aren't peeps on, you know, Venus. And so it goes. You know, you got solubility testing. Again, I don't have time to go over it properly, sadly. But, you know, low pressure environments, it's absolutely incredible. You know, risk analysis. It's actually, like, written quite scientifically. Fear response. Discover what causes this dramatic, you know, peep behavior. It's just peep abuse. This whole thing is just abuse of peeps. It's absolutely horrifying and hilarious at the same time. Like, I've never seen or heard of this brand, but they're so funny. Apparently they've been seen on CNN. There's a literature review. Don't be shy. Send us your comments about the site. Oops. Don't. I think that opened an email. Okay. But, like, this is all the, you know, places where they've been, like, kind of found, I guess. I don't know if this product still exists. But yeah, this is from 1998, this news report. So this is not something that was running in, like, 2010 or even 2005. This is, like, late 90s, early 2000s internet that we're looking at. And these peep things, they were actually in this little article on CNN and got featured. It's adorable. But, like, this is making me feel things I can't even describe, honestly. Featured on Internet Tonight. Again, this is so old, the links don't even work. Oh, this one works, because it's just as old. It's actually been updated since 2020. Some modern websites do still look like this. But yeah, amuse.com may be available for purchase. Interesting. If I wanted the domain of amuse.com, I'll consider it. We've got two more, guys. Two more to talk about before we end the stream, pretty much. But yeah, Duncan, welcome to the stream. Feel free to go back. You've missed a lot. I will add timestamps to the stream. '09 sound system music. I love that. Yeah, no, we've been talking all about it, Duncan. But yeah. There were the times I chose to eat my mic. Yeah, there is that pre-analog horror moment. Me and my girlfriend never argued, we just have light disagreements about the stupid stuff. Yeah, no, like, Lucy and I will pretend to be outraged with each other. We never argue. It's a very good relationship. She prefers cool-coloured light, I prefer warm. Oh, that's interesting, Corey. That's interesting. I'd say always go for warm if you're looking after your eyes, like late at night, but cool-coloured is definitely better in the daytime. I do think it's that simple. I don't know. Yeah, Cupcake, welcome back. Duncan, that's amazing. Not the peeps. Anyway. Yeah, 2 more. So, Samurai Pizza Cats. For some strange reason, we are the first page on the Pizza Cats. Truly an amazing series that deserves to be incredibly popular. Let us fill you in on the Samurai Pizza Cats, O honoured visitor. Who are the Samurai Pizza Cats? Look at them. Glorious. Majestic. The Samurai Pizza Cats, which are originally German, apparently. It's the name of a cartoon show in anime style. The show is named after the heroes of the show, 3 cats in modern-day samurai outfits. The name of the show, and even the opening theme, indicates that the show is a parody of TMNT. We got more further than any turtle ever had. Interestingly, the Japanese version is called Kyato Nindente Yande, which translates to Ninja Legend Cats. Japanese titles rule, don't they? There was supposed to be a full stop there. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly or completely butchered it. I do apologise. But yeah, so there's these cats, anthropomorphic cats, which run a pizza fast food business in Little Tokyo. The governor of the town is the emperor, but since he has gone bananas, a council takes care of the well-being in the village. Seymour Big Cheese secretly wishes to take control of the village. And the pizza takeaway restaurant is merely a cover for the true job. Whenever evil is afoot, the pizza cats are launched towards the danger from the gun-like clock tower that emerges from the top of their restaurant. They have 3 costumes. They have their day job forms, which will have skirts of some kind of restaurant logo on the front. The second are regular fighting uniforms, and the third are their extra spicy fighting uniforms. They're secretly like ninjas, I'm guessing. There's a B team of rescue cats. They represent the elements. They have super weapons, magical swords. Luckily, the scriptwriters put evil in every episode, or else the pizza cats would be out of a job. Evil usually takes the form of a gigantic monster-like robot used by the Big Cheese, who has set his mind on controlling some aspect of Little Tokyo. Page last modified September 2nd, 1995. Or 9th of February. But this is very old. This is actually one of the oldest sites we've looked at, and it's the most polished. It's definitely probably been updated. But, like, this is, like, mid-90s. This is ancient. This is, like, Pokemon anime old. And this sounds rubbish, and it sounds absolutely delightful. It sounds like such a silly little, like, show. Probably some really obscure old show that I would have never heard about otherwise. But it's, like, it's got all the characters. It's got, like, you know, phrases and isms they use. You can listen, you can read the lyrics of the closing theme. That's so delightful. That's so delightful. It's got full credits on the show. It probably only had like 1 or 2 seasons. But man, truths are here to be bent in the direction we wish them to be. They're so role-playing. But this is a fan page. This is a fan page is the thing. This was just someone really enthusiastic about this show. Just happened to be the first person on the internet to ever make a page for them. They made an internet page about Samurai Pizza Cats. I am definitely going to see if I can track this down. You know, I'm going to look right now. Is it available to watch anyway? Samurai Pizza Cats. Is it, not cars, cats. Is it possible to find this? It's an adaptation. It's an American show that adapts an anime. So the original Japanese one was in 90 to 91 with 54 episodes. The North American rights produced a 52 episode adaptation in 1991. So it's the same episodes, I think. It's only 50-ish episodes. But yeah. Wacky comedy rather than the farcical version. But yeah. The distribution rights expired in 2000. Discotheque Media currently holds the North American home video license, while Madman Entertainment holds a license for Australia and New Zealand. Crunchyroll began streaming the series in 2015. It's been on Amazon Prime in late 2018. 2020 became available on Tubi. In 2021 it became available on Peacock. So you can find this on all of these sites. Presumably. It's still watchable. I might just go check this out. Is it on YouTube, though, is the real thing. Is it on YouTube? Because now I'm linking this back to my habits now. Samurai Pizza Cats. Can I find a clip of Samurai Pizza Cats? Let's look at the intro. Let's see what the intro for this show looked like. Sorry, postcard from Celeste. Let me just look at this.
Will somebody please cue that voice? Samurai Pizza Cats. Oh yeah! Who do you call when you want some pepperoni? Samurai
Look at that. That's authentic, man.
You know that ain't baloney. There's Speedy Cerviche, he's the leader of the bunch. Right. A heck of a fighter, makes a heck of a lunch. And
look at
little
this.
Polyester, who's never afraid of going into battle when the bad guys invade. Your Tweedo and
Even had the cheesy theme tune.
This cat gets down with a love hangover. They're so bad, they've got more fur than any turtle ever had.
That's crazy.
Stronger than old cheese.
You know, I've been meaning to watch the old 90s Pokemon. Because Tasha got me back into Pokemon Go recently. And I always thought that show was actually really good, but I never watched more than clips. This is like the exact same era. Like, it looks like the same style of like animation. Really similar. But yeah, it's got a lot of charm, this. It's probably not something I'd actually watch through. It must be like some kids show, but it looks fun. But yeah, you get a real flavor of the show from that intro. That's a great intro. But yeah, like, it's media preservation, man. It goes back to one of the things I said earlier in the stream. But yeah, that's just incredible, really. There's one more thing I want to look at. So before we do, how are we doing, chat? Feels like something my dad would watch. How young is your dad? Try and do the math. Oh my god, I forget how young you guys were. There's some of you here who didn't even exist in 2005. Or 2010. Barely. Oh my goodness. I always get mind-fucked when people say, like, we're closer to 2050 than, like, 1990 or whatever. Like, it's ridiculous. Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, that's, if that was 91, 90, that was 10, 20, 30 years ago, plus 5 to 10 years. Putting your dad in his 40s, that's completely reasonable. To me, the 90s was still, like, a decade ago, mentally. Like, I can't get my head around that. But yeah, that's absolutely mad. Oh, really? Wow. Good on him, honestly, for keeping up with that. Oh, Looney Tunes. I got a lot of respect for that. Also, 68, yeah. Yeah, Looney Tunes, that is tasteful. I love it. But yeah, I've got one more thing I want to show you guys, because after looking at all this, I had a question. A very simple question that I thought about out loud. I'm going to say out loud. I'm going to change the music. This ain't right. Nah, we have the right music for this. What have we got queued up? Perfect. Perfect song choice. Guys, I got a question for you. Alright. I got a very simple question. If there's nothing else we have to say about that. What was the first website? Or at least, what's like the oldest like web page that I can access? How far back does it go? I've done a lot of stuff from the early 2000s, the late 90s, the mid 90s, the early 90s. But what I'm about to show you is the first page on the World Wide Web. or W3, as they used to call it. This right here, this is the oldest page on the internet. I'm pretty sure. This right here, this is the oldest page on the internet. Probably written, typed by the hand of Tim Berners-Lee. The World Wide Web. Just a description and explanation of what it is. The World Wide Web, W3 as nobody calls it today, is a wide area hypermedia information retrieval initiative aiming to give universal access to a large universe of documents. That is one of the best descriptions of the internet I've seen. And it's not even described the internet, it's described the World Wide Web, and that was only like the original intention. That barely scrapes the surface. Everything there is online about W3 is linked directly or indirectly to this document, including an executive summary of the project, mailing list policy, blah blah blah, your FAQs. But yeah, like, what is hypertext? Hypermedia. Hypertext is text which is not constrained to be linear. Hypertext is text which contains links to other texts. The term was coined by Ted Nelson around 1965. See history. There's an actual timeline of how this came to be, going as far back as 1945 to Roosevelt's science advisor. But yeah, hypermedia is a term used for hypertext which is not constrained to text. It can include graphics, video, and sound. Sadly, that doesn't work anymore. Apparently, Ted Nelson was the first to use this term too. Hypertext and hypermedia are concepts, not products. It's like a proper encyclopedia, dictionary, original internet use. You've got the executive summary. You can, see, you can try the simple line mode browser. It's basically just explaining in the most original, technical, basic way what the internet is conceptually, what the World Wide Web is, how it's used to interact with the internet. And it's like, there is no top to the World Wide Web. You can look at it from many points of view. If you have no other bias, there are some ways of looking for information. Classification by subject or by type. And you can just see, like, computing, networking, RFCs, or whatever, or I don't know. Okay, these aren't working. But, like, this is the original internet. It was just this. And it was just explaining, like, how to do searches. And this is what brought the internet from being a very technical and obscure thing into what it is now. This right here, this is where everything began. Everything. Got a whole bibliography. They have a book. Around 50 pages, handy to cut down to handy A4 size, like your PC documentation. Because, there would be physical manuals with the device they got to actually access this at home. It's incredible. And it's technical, and I'm in love with it, man. It's really special. So I'm going to bookmark that. That is now in my bookmarks. I don't know how to get this thing back to being pinned. Okay, there we go. But these are all just on here now. That's the World Wide Web, and I'm going to link all of these in the description so you guys can explore for yourself. I completely forgot to do that. But if you want to see more of the World Wide Web page for yourself, you can. What would you like to do to support the web? Put up some data. The web needs both raw data, fresh hypertext or old plain text files, or smart subsequent views of existing databases. See more details, etiquette. This is like the original use of the internet. Uploading information. Like, literally learning how to use hyperlinks. Hyperlinks were like this crazy new thing that was like a mind-blowing development back in the day. Kind of like AI was a few years ago. Look how far we've come. So yeah, I'm just gonna link all of these a little separately here. But yeah, that is the old internet, and this is nothing. This is a tiny, tiny fraction of what is out there. And I think as a historian, maybe the direction I want to take with my degree is investigating this kind of stuff as a source. Maybe there's stuff out there to kind of deep dive into the old internet. I mean, I just found these off like a Reddit page of people who's, you know, probably knew someone who knew someone, or maybe saw a video of someone who did some research who knew someone. But there's so much to find out here, and it just goes to show what the internet's capable of. Let's go to this. So I'm gonna end the stream now. That's it. That's everything. This has been pretty esoteric, pretty abstract, but I think that's how it goes. If I'm not gaming, I'm doing something philosophical. Probably. That's a wrap. Excuse me. The internet is like the actual world. You think you've explored everything, but in reality you definitely haven't. And by the time you get to it, it's probably already lost to time. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just a digital landscape, kind of like in the real world how there are ancient ruins and forests and mountains to walk out and explore. The internet's already got that. And nothing is sacred, nothing is eternal. Everything has to end at some point. I'm sure one day none of these websites will be available, at least not in their current form. Yeah, it's like an internet manual guide, you're right, DJ, that's what it is. An internet manual, a W3 guide. But yeah, Minecraft music is included on the background music players you're hearing, Cupcake. If you guys want to know what's on the background playlist, just ask. I didn't bother to put it in the description this time, but yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly, DJ, because the conceptual basis of the internet as it was before was books, libraries. That was the conceptual basis. It was very difficult to understand and predict the future, which I guess is the last thing we should talk about, because we've had a bit of everything this stream. We've talked about anecdotes, we've talked about the world. But where's the internet going in future? Where's it headed? Because I think the internet is subject to all of the same forces that dominate the world we're in, but it also can itself be that force. It goes back and forth. I think social media is the main way most people interact with the internet, and there is such a danger now of misinformation and AI, and that is something that, you know, authorities are going to have to challenge and reckon with, and that's going to have to be regulated and, you know, identified. I think inevitably there's going to be a lot of good grassroots efforts to fight against the harm that generative AI does to artists, but that's a pretty short-sighted, short-term thing. What happens when AI can start imitating reality without flaw? What happens when, you know, it goes beyond just regurgitating information from dead, databases? If the dead internet theory reaches that tipping point I mentioned earlier, if we go all the way to the point where you can easily notice, and it's notable, that the internet is dead and that the vast majority of stuff in there isn't real, if it isn't already, are people going to stop using the internet as much? Are we going to see some kind of revival or movement to a lifestyle that is less detached from online? Are we going to see a new kind of underground alternative lifestyle online? I mean, when you think about, you know, the social media options there are, because it's an oligopoly, everything's, you know, controlled by the same, you know, people. I wonder if perhaps, you know, we're going to see a rise in groups, or at least people like us, figuring out a way to kind of live around that.
Thank you.
That's certainly what I would desire. I did leave a comment, hasn't got a reply yet, but as you can see here, if you want to read it, I did speculate about how, although history's cyclical and, you know, this is just this generation's new challenge, essentially, I wonder, you know, this Wild West era of the internet is long dead. You know, we're seeing, you know, more and more kind of, you know, interference from the powers that be in the world we live in, which is capitalist. And because we live in a capitalist world, it's corporations and businesses that dominate the field. And, like, how far is it going to go? Is it just going to keep stagnating? Are we going to see some kind of reactionary, counter, you know, revolutionary movement against kind of, you know, the cycle and deterioration? Because it's not all bad. I love the internet. I love that I've been able to exist in this era of history and experience the things I have. I would hate to have been born any sooner or later, really, but I think slightly sooner would have been all right. But there's a lot to worry about, and And technology, I guess, is going to lead the way, because technology is the thing that changes how we communicate and how we transport ourselves. And, this is just one thing. I mean, science fiction has become science reality already a number of times. Who's to say it won't again? Is the Oasis ever going to be a thing? Are we going to have, the holodeck from Star Trek? Is it going to be more and more virtual world building until it's indistinguishable from reality? I mean, we'll see. In our lifetimes, at least, I think the way in which we interact with the internet is going to keep evolving and changing. What it is has already been largely explored, but it's going to be challenging. I think a lot of people, without realizing it, are just kind of hooked on what it is now. It's really hard to predict. But I think if things just keep going the way they are, without any random things like a pandemic shaking things up, if things just keep going the way they are, there's got to be a tipping point where people sort of wake up to the drastic situation they're in, and there's some sort of counter. But it's all supply and demand at the end of the day. What the early Wild West years of the internet proved, as Pat said in the video, is that if, the people don't get what they want, they'll provide it for themselves. They'll make it themselves. And I think all it would take the right people in the right place to build new social media platforms to, I mean, I looked at decentralized social media before. It's a pretty niche thing. The thing is, the reason stuff like that hasn't taken off is because it's inconvenient to use. It's very tech nerdy. It's very niche. I think most of us here are not mainstream internet users. I think a lot of people use the internet in very basic ways, in very specific ways that just kind of conform. But I think the internet is not just one unanimous thing. This has been a very culture-focused discussion, but I think for different businesses, for different enterprises, for different industries, for different individuals, for different families, for different demographics, there's a lot of different ways the internet can be used. And I think at the end of the day, if you put in the effort, there is a lot of customization available. But everyone's subject to the, corporate overlords. And, data security is a real scary thing. When you got WhatsApp and Facebook leaking stuff. Yeah. I think it's a complex issue. But I think imagination and creativity is innate to the human condition. I think the bland, mainstream thing you see is a result of hungry corporations. I don't think it's a result of people. I think people will continue to be creative and inspiring, and if they want MySpace 2 enough, and there are a lot of people who want that, it will happen. It could be a thing. I just think because the internet is so universal, because so many people have so much power over it, it's kind of an ultimate balancing force. There are things that can happen there that just can't in the real world. At least, not as easily. But how long are we going to have those freedoms? What if the internet was regulated by government? What if the internet was regulated by law instead of governments, taking, Zuckerberg to court or whoever and just, slapping these corporations on the wrist with a fine that looks big but is actually not much of a dent in their profits, and basically trusting them to just self-regulate. I mean, it's been more than proven that doesn't work, but I don't think anyone would be very happy to have the government regulate your internet experience. It's kind of a lesser of two evils thing, isn't it? Would you rather have the rules dictated to you by, people working under an elected official, or, businesses that you've trusted with your money who provide the service you want? Who pick your poison. That's kind of a universal dilemma, though. I don't think that's even limited to the internet. There's so much. It goes so deep. And sadly, I can't do this dialogue justice in the stream. I'm just a random young fella, sitting around chatting with a bunch of you guys. I think this is the starting point. This is the start of a philosophical discussion. It's very basic. It's very accessible. It's what I try and do with this channel. Nothing too highbrow, nothing too academic. Just sitting down and talking about ideas. And this was a very conceptual stream. But maybe this could lead to something deeper and an actual argument, an actual thrust of argument with a conclusion and a thesis. I'm not confident enough to say I have one specifically. I understand everything, there's so many possibilities. The future could go in so many ways. We could see dystopian futures made reality. We could see science fiction stories from the 80s manifest. Or maybe it'll be completely different. Or maybe it won't change at all. Maybe in 2050, things will just be the same, but sleeker and faster. There's a good point, Duncan. Who owns the internet? Who owns the internet, you know? Wild West. Whoever's got the most power. Whoever's got the most money. Because that's how it is now. The internet is owned by whoever can afford to. Because the people with the most influence over what happens on the internet are the, millionaire billionaires who run the companies who, who own the companies who operate online more than anything. Including, but not limited to, corporations that do stuff offline as well, like Amazon. Netflix, though. Facebook, Meta, Zuckerberg, they own Instagram and WhatsApp as well, if I remember correctly. It's huge. And it's a lot of responsibility for such a small group. But yeah, this is very reality bending, and I think I'm happy to just go forth and just see what happens. I think, if nothing else, at the end of the day, I will be a narrator. I'll be a commentator, an observer, someone who just wants to get the facts and have a discussion about the implications of said facts. Because at the end of the day, that's all news is, that's all history is, that's what I do. And I think that's who I am. Maybe one day I'll be something more. But for now, I think I'm done. I think that's it. I think I've exhausted all the big points I can really make. We could get more into specifics, but yeah. The internet is like all things in life. It's both beautiful and terrible at the same time. And it's unique. But to go back to another thing I said, once it's out of Pandora's box, you can't put it back in. This has fundamentally changed human civilization, and it's just going to keep going. We are never going back to that, pre-80s, 70s, 60s, that World War II, pre-50s world, let's say. It's pre-50s world. The pre-war world. The pre-war world was fundamentally different to the post-war for a number of reasons, but the way the internet's developed since the 90s, we're never going back. But yeah, I'm done. I think that's it. I think I'm going to stop waffling and say, bringing it back to me, because it's a YouTube. For those who care, for those who are fussed, I will type up a community post summarising the need-to-know info anyway, so you don't have to stick around and watch this. But essentially, literally just a minute, I just want to say thank you all for the support, genuinely. We've had a nice long journey, last 5 years, and it's been an absolute pleasure to bring you all along as I explore the wonderful games and topics there are to see out there. This obviously isn't the end, but there's going to be a pretty significant break here. It's actually been 5.5 years, 5 years and 7 months, I think. But I might be on hiatus for a while, longer than ever before. I definitely want to come back and do something at Halloween, but until then, no guarantees. There might be the odd video I'll upload, I don't know, but things are changing. And this is a big thing which I've wanted to do for a very long time. When last year in November, I was planning everything I was going to do this year, the, format, the series, the FNAF anniversary stuff, what I was going to do with the Purge, what I was going to do with Continuity Era. This was the last thing I planned. This was the thing. I got to January and I thought, all right, yeah, that's how we're going to do this. It's done now. I'm finally finished. I can finally rest. I don't have to think about my YouTube channel in the back of my mind constantly anymore. But I'm thinking constantly. It's like, there's something else left to do. There's something else left to do. Let's do this. Let's do that. But I'm actually done now. I'm going to go through. I'm going to delete all the community posts that I don't need anymore. Just a couple. In fact, I think I might have already deleted all the ones I need to. But I'm going to do this now. I'm going to change the profile picture because I got an even better version, which somebody on the Discord inspired me to make. I forget who, but I thought it was really cool. And let me just make sure I'm not showing off the wrong files there. Yeah. Where is it? Hold on, hold on. Here we go. There's an even cooler and edgier thing. It's like an inverted black and white image, and I just think it looks really cool. And just to signify that I'm on hiatus, for real, that's that. And I'm basically done. It's asked me to verify. Why now? Are you for real? Are you for real on God right now? All the times to ask for verification. Ugh. Sorry. But yeah. I think there might be a fundamental change, a fundamental shift in the channel from now on. Like, if I had any ideas, I would genuinely reconsider naming the channel, but I have none. So unless I get an idea, that won't change. But even if it did, I'm still going to be streaming and playing games. I need to finish off Baldi's Basics, Jedi 3, Spider-Man 2, you know, Resident Evil, and whatever Minecraft and perhaps even a little FNAF stuff comes up. But yeah, there's going to be a blackout, there's going to be nothing for a bit, but it's all finally panning out. And, yeah. That's it. Been good. But yeah. Everything ends, so I would rather change and evolve than die out. Thank you so much for watching. As always. And until the next time, stay hydrated.